Anyway, happy Toxic Lesbian Lawyer Fridays for all who celebrate. Welcome to the stream. We're gonna get to continue more of the devil today, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Plus, I discovered at the end of last stream that the menu changes depending on what episode you're on. And this looks fantastic, so I'm really looking forward to what it looks like as I get into further episodes. As I mentioned, my 2PC setup is on a delay right now because I need to get a new motherboard for the PC I got from a junk place that I was going to use for just encoding, basically. It would also be hosting my my avatar, most likely, unless I worked out some kind of microphone thing or whatever. Really, it would just be taking the burden of encoding off of my GPU so that I could stream things that were more intensive. For example, Armored Core 6, which I do have in the backlog. But that's something for the future. I'm working on a ref sheet for an updated model, that sort of thing. I also want to work on stuff for a rebrand. Like, in general, I want to update emotes. I want to add more emotes. I want to add a banner. I'd like to update it so that there are, the original idea was for there to be, progressing sub-badges as someone has subscribed for a while. That I haven't implemented yet. And really, I could have implemented it at any time. But now when I really want to work on adding more stuff is a good time to do it. Sunday, we're going to be getting into, I'm going to be doing a, what I like to call a sellout Sunday, where I take a sponsorship and I play a sponsored game for stream. I'm sure if you're in my Discord, you've heard about it already. I'm going to be playing Zenless Zone Zero. If you haven't played it yet, and if you have any interest in playing it, following my link in the Discord or on the day that I stream it, it will be popping up in chat. Following that link, downloading it, playing it will contribute monetarily to me. So if you have any interest in doing that, I would encourage you not to hesitate. Anyways, I've dilly-dallied long enough. It's time for Of the Devil, Chapter 1, Stream Number 2. Let's get it going. Oh, there we go. Noble Electronics, Northeastern HQ. Executive Office, Young. I assume that's Young. Right. Speaking first is a sign of weakness, is it? And here I thought I could avoid wading into the swamp of corporate pretend power dynamics. I'm gonna let her stew. Silence is only awkward if you care. I can ignore social cues all day long. Well, thank you for the follow, Edvard John. I hope you're having an excellent night. I always like this time of day. Not too muggy for you? No, I never liked a clear blue sky. It always seemed cold to me. You're in luck. The sky gets more colorful every year. And as the air quality drops? Childish, isn't it? Marveling at the small sheen of rainbow dancing on the surface of a massive oil spill. How you doing? I'm doing really well. I hope you're doing well too. Apologies for waxing poetic. It's been a very unusual 24 hours around here. Dr. Young, just Miss is fine. Miss Young, I get the feeling you didn't bring me up here to talk about the weather. But what do we know about Miss Young here? Helen Young, date of birth December 9th, 166 centimeters, 59 kilograms, AB positive. Vice President of Android Futures at Noble Electronics. Likes red meat, flower gardens, high thread counts. Dislikes working from home, shopping online, and waiting. You know what? That all tracks. Languages, fluent in 3. Enjoys attending baseball game. Baseball is an interesting one. Hidden talent, getting children to stop crying. Well, Edvard, if you looked at my, if you looked at the the disclaimer on my chat, you would know that if you tried to sell... Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Uplink. I appreciate the quick reaction time there. No, I brought you up here to express my condolences. I'm very sorry for your loss. Thank you, though I could say the same. I know you and David worked together for many years. As soon as I get here, yeah, you had to whip out the gun immediately. Who's this? This is Dr. Young, who is the VP of Android Futures at Noble Electronics. Yes, we did, but as much as I'd like to just drop everything and process, the company wheels don't stop spinning for anything or anyone. We ended in the elevator? Yeah. Was Dawes of any help? She sent him. Trying to be helpful or just trying to control the narrative. He was great. But that must mean you know why I'm here. I don't want to make assumptions. No need. I'll be explicit. I'm here as an officer of the court, which means I'm bound by law to document every rock I turn over, and every person I speak to. Yes, the lawyers made that all very clear. Lawyers? You have an android. It's not one of ours. You can tell that quickly. Got all the faces memorized. It's easy enough to remember the major archetypes we use, yes. If you're nuts about your work, maybe. Let me be explicit. True. Axel moment. He does say that, doesn't he? It's a recent acquisition. Very recent, in fact. One of David's last requests, apparently. Got it memorized. David asked you to take it. I've been told that you've been to David's estate already. The police gave me full access to the scene. Then you know he wasn't alone last night. Yes, there was a single witness who met with him and called emergency services when he fainted. I was that witness. Okay, that tracks. Her lipstick is interesting. I see it a lot in sci-fi stuff. The painted top lip and then the middle, the painted middle bottom lip. I like the look. It's very interesting. Bears Helen Young's DNA and fingerprints. Well, I'm glad we got that updated. Really? Obviously. There aren't that many people David would bother meeting in person, let alone welcoming them into his home and offering them a drink. I also knew that Young is his superior, on paper, if not in fame. And I knew that witness had Executive Plan 3 insurance, so they had to be higher up than David. Well then, do your lawyers know we're having this conversation? Of course. They're pulling their hair out about it as we speak. I can't imagine why. The police cleared you. And you were well within your rights to ask for some privacy given the high-profile nature of all that's happened. So why call me up here? Why cut through all the red tape your lawyers painstakingly hid you behind? I finished Nekomata's commission in Zenless Zone Zero. Nice! Eventually you, or some clever lawyer like you, would get the record opened. Through legal means or otherwise. The company's enemies are legion, and they have a prying knife for every occasion. Still, that would have taken time. Time you could use to get ahead of what could be the biggest PR hurdle Noble's ever seen. Touché. Drinking grape soda and thinking of you. Are you projecting the grape soda towards me? Are you sending me thoughts of grape soda? Towards your keyboard, maybe. No, my poor keyboard. It's already had an orange soda incident once. And so perhaps the truth of the matter is that I simply don't want to hide. David was my colleague for several years. If I were in your shoes, I would have questions as well. You're doing this for my sake. No, my reasons are purely selfish. I'm only hoping that talking to someone whose job isn't to defend me from all consequences might prove therapeutic. If she wants to play confessional, that's fine by me. But is that really all that's going on here? Why don't you start from the beginning, then? You went to his home last night? Yes, at around 7:30 p.m. The building's penumbra captured all of that quite clearly. I want some like those. I really do like that style of earring. If somebody sold, like, Tanjiro's from Demon Slayer's earrings, I might wear them, but every single version of them I can find is, like, they're, like, metal. And it's like, no, make them out of cloth. They're supposed to be cloth. To know what they look like. They're, like, you know, they're long, they're kind of, like, boxy, like, paper or cloth, and they have stuff printed. I would want metal. Oh, okay. He fell ill around 8 p.m., so you spent half an hour together. Why the late call? In person. We had an intense discussion yesterday afternoon. David Namick never came in on Saturdays, and I didn't want to spend the weekend glaring at him through screens, so I visited, and he let me in, and we talked. About the good old days, if you can believe that. Back when we were both new to the company, eager to make a name for ourselves. How long ago was that? 7 or 8 years ago? Miss Young, putting a number on it doesn't sound that long ago, but it feels... We spent a while like that, just talking. He was lively and sharp, and I never would have thought that a few minutes later... that he would be dead. That he would commit suicide in front of me. A firm reply. What happened? 8:15, he said he wanted to toast. He got up, walked back into his workshop, and then he must have went down to his basement to get us a bottle. I checked some messages in the meantime, enjoyed the view. In other words, she stayed on camera. He came back with a bottle of whiskey and 2 plastic cups. We drank and talked. He got quieter, spoke less. I thought he was just getting drunk. Good old days, right? Yeah, the best days. I didn't get worried until he started to fall asleep. You tried to wake him? He wasn't responding. I tried to shake him awake, but he didn't seem... I left him and ran to the kitchen to use the security system. Didn't think to use your phone? No, I suppose I didn't. But it worked out. The Penumbra's emergency protocol summoned a VTOL straight to his helipad with 1 button press. Plastic cups and different whiskey. When I returned to the parlor, he was limp. I moved him to the floor as delicately as I could. He had a heartbeat, but I just did what I could until they arrived. You went with them to the hospital, I take it? Yes, they insisted. They checked my vitals and ran a tox screen, which came back clean. So did David's, for all the good it did him. I wasn't paying close attention to what they were saying at that point, but I'm sure they ran through every step of the CCE SOP. That's what they're paid to do. You seem certain it was suicide. Yes. Why? As I said, he got quieter as time passed, and he spoke less. But the last thing he said to me, the last clear thing he said, was that he was happy ending it here. Said he was content. And he downed his glass after that. He drank every last drop. Does that sound like David Assure to you? Curious, restless, perfectionist, David? No, I guess it doesn't. You said CCE standard operating procedure a moment ago. What is that? CCE stands for counter-corporate espionage, which is just industry doublespeak for corporate espionage. Only used in self-defense, you understand? So Noble anticipates employees at your level getting poisoned. They give us all kinds of CCE training, subtly of course, usually disguised on the itinerary as leadership workshops or psychiatric evaluations. They train you to expect to get murdered at these leadership workshops. Murder is fairly rare at our level. Most likely they'll want us too sick to work. Let us drain company resources in a hospital bed while our position sits vacant. That's smart. Like snipers purposely avoiding vital areas to strain the enemy's medical resources. That's terrible! Like snipers purposely avoiding vital areas in order to strain the enemy's medical resources. That's nothing compared to when they want to turn an asset. Feel ill for the rest of your life with an undiagnosable malady, or become our mole and we'll send you the antidote every 2 weeks. That's a nasty piece of work. It's a nasty line of work. Consulting. I'm sorry? That's just what they call it. Can't expectedly put a corporate spy on your CV. So every consultant I've met at a cocktail party was actually... It depends. Did they say that they're consultants, or did they say they were in consulting? How the hell am I supposed to remember? So did your people think that what happened to David was a deliberate attack? Noble's competitors have been trying to get to David for years, and that's the timescale their plans operate on. If this was an attack from a rival corporation, the company would have seen it coming, and they'd probably have struck first. I've been curious about this ever since I saw the scene. Why the plastic cups? There's a story there. David and I got hired around the same time under similar circumstances. Headhunted while finishing our higher education. During recruiting, the company claimed to want us badly, but in practice our actual authority was inexperienced and overpaid. You must have been extremely unpopular. You don't mince words. We didn't either back then. We were loudly trying to convince our superiors that their entire sales model for androids was antiquated and self-defeating. That the two of them made the one-point doctrine? That's not the story I heard in Noble commercials and Noble-sponsored media. And come to think of it, it's not a story I ever heard from David himself. We had this deadline. Self-imposed, but still a deadline. We wanted to get our pitch to the president of international sales by end of day. 7 p.m. rolls around and people start filtering out. David still has his head buried in diagrams and sales figures. Imagine a technical man like him, a programmer trying to make a sales pitch. The clock hits 9 and even the zombies start heading home. I turn to David, tell him it's not going to happen. We're nowhere near finished and the day's long since been over. He looked at me like I'm the only other person on a sinking boat and I've just stopped pitching water, and he says, "The president lives on the other side of the globe. We've still got all night until his end of day." We wrapped up at 4 in the morning, just us and the cleaning staff. Back then, only half of them were ads. You couldn't make a sales pitch? I am very bad at public speaking, so probably true. He finally sends the message, and I'm ready to collapse. I've got nothing. We stared blankly at his inbox for the next 40 minutes, hoping the harsh light would give us the energy to work through the next day. And we got a response. It wasn't long, but it showed he was interested. I had been turned down so many times before then, ignored and placated, passed up and ghosted, but together, David and we had finally gotten a win. So David asked if I got anything to drink. I've got a bottle of some swill in a cabinet at my desk, but he doesn't want to drink from the bottle. Says he wants to toast. So we sat there at 5:19 in the morning, toasting awful vodka to one another in cups we grabbed from the break room, toasting our first victory against the corporate beast. Between the lack of sleep and the drinking, the next day at work was hell. Sounds like a good memory. Plastic cups and liquor. That was our little ritual. Evidence. CCE, yeah. So I didn't think twice when he presented me with my cup. Found upright on the contains no traces of foreign elements. Okay. It was ceremony for us. As VP of Android Futures, you're David's superior, aren't you? That's correct. Didn't you join the company at around the same time? David was always more interested in his work than he was in climbing the ladder. He didn't like playing the corporate politics game. So he was unpopular around here. Not unpopular, no. Not the great Dr. David Ashore. Misunderstood, perhaps. How so? He could be blunt, demanding, some might say. He wasn't trying to be, it's just... not everyone could work at the same pace as he did, for as long as he did. Even with the whole company huffing those inhalers, they couldn't keep pace with David. Speaking of which, I don't see any at Young's desk. Maybe it's just not something you leave out in the open at her level. So you would say that his work-life balance was... Balance implies the two are at odds with one another. We use work-life harmony here at the company. Fascinating. So was he in harmony? No, David always had plenty of suitors, but he was never willing to put the time in. But I'm sure you're more knowledgeable than I am on this subject. Right. What do you mean? I had to help him draft a lot of apology notes over the years for misunderstandings and double bookings. Scandalous. The A16 only entered production this year, correct? Correct. Pre-orders started last holiday and we began shipping the first quarter. I understand that you were instrumental in the success of Worm Androids. I played my part supervising the launch, yes. Weren't you the one who designed Synatonin, the factor that enabled communication between synthetic and organic parts? I'm surprised you've heard of that. I did lead that project, yes, but that was years ago. At the time, Synatonin was little more than a novelty, a dead end. It wasn't until David took the reins on A16 that we found a use for it. Took the reins? He was the lead programmer on limb coordination, facial expression, exhaustion parameters. And he designed the synthetic nerves that made all that possible. Interesting. I didn't consider that he might have programmed them to actually become exhausted. David did all of that. That's a lot more than just programming. Was he always so gifted in that many fields? Did he fill those roles on the A14 or A15? No. No, he used to stick steadfast to his role as a software architect. That was his field of expertise, and he didn't wander far. But 2 or 3 years back, he started sitting in on other departments, taking notes. Soon he was joining the discussion, proposing new ideas, and eventually they came to follow his lead. Just like that. Just like that. So he just applied himself, and soon he was leading other departments. That's the kind of genius that Dr. David Assure was. Maybe they weren't paying him enough. The company profited the most, of course, but the entire industry benefited from his vision and leadership. His loss will be felt for years. So this android, Sarah, even Dawes couldn't find any real details on where it came from. It's not in any of our systems? I'm afraid not. Did David ever talk to you or anyone else at the company about a pet project? Pet? No, he never gave me any indication like that. And if he didn't talk to me about it, I seriously doubt he confided in anyone else at the company. David didn't trust anyone higher on the chain than himself, and anyone below him. Pout mode engaged. She's very quick to engage pout mode. Frankly, they couldn't possibly hope to give him advice. He never mentioned me? No, never. Androids don't come cheap. You never heard about him requisitioning parts or resources? There were never any discrepancies with his company credit card? The company's accountants are mirthless, even by industry standards. They wouldn't humor anybody, not even David Assure. If they ever had detected financial discrepancies, there would have been an uproar loud enough you could hear it all in the mailroom. You have a mailroom? Not since the 30s, just a figure of speech. Oh, no mailroom for Sarah. Very sad. He couldn't have taken resources from the company without leading a record, but no one would deny Dr. David Assure information. He would have been able to obtain all the necessary data to build his own android. Then, with enough time and money, he could privately purchase the raw materials himself. I don't understand it. It must have taken him years to build Sarah. He wasn't doing anything illegal, except the hacking stuff. So why keep it secret? I don't know. But he was private and a perfectionist. Perhaps he simply wasn't proud of his results. Could be. Well, thanks for taking the time to talk to me. I'm sure this has been a difficult day for you. A difficult day for all of us. Their color-coded shadows, of course. A message from Fran. I'm running out of leads to chase. That brat better have good news. Are you really going to take this to court? That's my plan. The circumstances may be irregular, but I'm still defending a client from a criminal charge. It's my responsibility to argue that he's not guilty of what he's been accused of. And is that what you believe? That he didn't commit suicide? I guess I haven't decided what I believe. 4:21 p.m., July 1st, 2086. Missed it by that much. In transit. Would you kindly slow the hell down? I'm sorry, Adonai. Was I walking too quickly for you? That wasn't walking. That was speed walking. Up 2 flights of stairs. It's very different. Speed walking? Sounds like a powerful technique. Is it like the Zhenjiao? Just let me catch my breath for a minute. Adonai, is it possible that you are out of shape? No. But since we left the cab, your heart rate has... I'm not wearing the right clothes. Or the right shoes. Is that so? Yes. Also, I didn't stretch or hydrate, and the sun's reaching its zenith. That would have been several hours ago. Do you mean the air temperature? You said it would be a short walk from street level, so I prepared myself, mentally, for a short walk. Then you took off like a rocket, and you didn't mention we have to go upstairs. Are you sure this place is even back here? The reviews online were quite clear. It's worth the trouble finding it. Maybe if you're a mountain climber. When I sent Fran hunting for the musician in David's circles, I expected them to bring me to someone from the city orchestra or jazz club. The champagne, flute, and tea kind of musician. But this is the tequila and neon part of town. It should be in view if we turn... Adonai, be careful. Of what? It's a stray, and it's bearing its fangs, too. It could be carrying diseases. You should... Relax. Adonai, it's growling. It's not growling at me. See? So it's just me that it doesn't like. Too much static. How'd you get it to calm down? It's an animal, not a monster. It wants to be calm. Do you like animals? What kind of cold-blooded freak doesn't like animals? Do you have a pet? Nope, never have. Why not? Because I don't want to take care of a pet. That seems counterintuitive to me. Well, it makes perfect sense to me, and I don't need it to make sense to you. But, you notice you're only this talkative when it's just the two of us? Just an observation. You shy or something? Did David program you to have android anxiety? It's generally only appropriate to respond to comments that are addressed to oneself. Today, I have rarely been addressed directly by people, other than you. In other words, you're shy. That is not what I... Can I try petting it? There's no law against it. Sarah gets to pet a dog. Let's go. Strawberry soda or cola? I mean, I would always go cola between those two things. Ultraviolets. This is the establishment. Now to see if Isaac Porter is as habitual as Fran claims. Do you think Father was close with this man? This man who you've never met? I think that he was close with him, yes. At some point. I had some help making that deduction. Fran saw that their metadata showed a significant cooling of interaction between the two of them, particularly over the past month. But Fran also saw a phone call between the two last night. So they were close. Do you think they were sleeping together? That is completely inappropriate for me or anyone to speculate about. Inappropriate? Adonai, it's only... I'm getting a very important text message from my private investigator. Excuse me. Did you catch the killer yet? No. What the hell? I sent you his POS. I'm at his position. I haven't spoken to Porter yet. Is she a prude? I think she just sees, someone who looks like a child talking very casually about sex and gets uncomfortable. Because that would also be my response. Anyway, there's no reason to suspect him right now. Lame. Surprised you're invested all of a sudden. Isn't David Assure a corporate sellout in your eyes? Everyone's a corporate sellout. But Assure gets respect. If I'm a demolitions expert, he's like a really good architect. That's almost sweet, I think. Assure started out working in Cube. So in the architect analogy, by today's standards, he's like, as a kid, he built all his bricks by hand, or something. You know, that lit homework can help you with forming analogies. Eat this analogy. I'm gonna assume this says bitch, or some such. I can't tell how many letters this is. Did that come through, or did the characters break? It's supposed to be a guy giving you the finger. Oh no, it was just an emoticon. I take it Cube is a programming language. What's special about it? Pretty much anything coded in the last 20 years is web-based. You code with the assumption that you'll always be connected. So you can depend on having fat libraries of references to lean on. And if something does go wrong, your errors get reported to you automatically. But not Cube. You can look it up. But basically, Cube was originally for robotics and, like, machinery. Stuff that had to operate in mines, under the ocean, middle and nowhere fields with zero signal service. So Cube had to be self-sufficient. How rugged. So basically all the programming these days is done, it's like redundant, and it will it'll connect to, like, you know, the internet to auto-report, like, errors and things to you. Instead of you having to, like, comb through the code yourself and find errors. I wonder if David has a code duck. Since, you know, he's so old-fashioned. Where did Cher learn Cube anyway? It's older than dirt. It's Morgan, remember? I mean, this is Morgan, yeah? From, like, the 40s? I don't know. I think his father had a machine shop or something. Vague? She's his duck. Oh, that would make sense. Right, she did mention that they had conversations, which was basically just David talking at her. Right, we talked about this. Yeah. She's his code duck. Yeah, well, David didn't like to talk about his family, and I never asked. What did your private investigator have to say, Adonai? Feeds you some of my cake. Is it good cake or is it bad cake? Not telling. Devil's food? Fuck yes. The stage for the talent. Pretty close to the floor. Guess it fits with the whole round table aspect of the place. Devil's food doesn't necessitate cheesecake being in the middle, and I would prefer if it didn't, but you know, as long as there's more cake than cheese. Everyone's on more or less equal footing, dancing in the dark, once you get past the bouncer. Do you think they might have met here? David and Porter? I can't see David walking in here. Because you found the walk so challenging? Because it's too loud to relax. And not dark enough to be anonymous. I see. What's that face? You got an opinion to share? The atmosphere's not bad in here, but the music isn't quite... I'll find you a survey to fill out before we leave. What kind of music does an android even like? Early 21st century punk rock. Let's go, baby! Fucking Green Day over here. Is that just you, or does that go for all androids? Fucking loser. What the hell do you mean? I haven't met all androids. I can't speak for them. Wonder what they'd say. If they're smart, they say that music peaked with early 21st century punk rock. Do you think she likes Rise Against? I mean, probably. Rise Against isn't super punk. It's more alt-rock, as far as I'm aware. But it's anti-establishment, so, you know, it shares themes. Debate settled. What else do we got? Oh, whoa. That one over there. He matches the photo Fran sent. I'm kind of like of the opposite opinion. Should I approach now or look around some more? Well, we're gonna look around more. Better get the read on the room first. I'm gonna look at everything, obviously. A bar stocked full of colorful selections and busy bartenders. Hope this isn't the kind of club you can order food in. Only time bar food is any good is when you're drunk enough to forget the taste in the gap between chewing and swallowing. So you can, like, eat things. Yes, I can. What, like android food? There is no such product. It'd be funny if he leaves if you look at too much stuff. That would be funny as hell. So what do androids eat? Online user guides for Noble's warm models clarify that they don't eat anything in the traditional sense. They get their energy from electrical charging, usually wireless. Whenever they need to eat, it's to replenish specific vitamins and electrolytes. Sounds a lot like what mod users go through with their sports drinks and energy bars. And charger separation anxiety. According to the net, warm androids can ingest nutrient-rich processed carbohydrate pellets if they need to forego electrical charging long-term. Gives her a Gatorade. Truly fucking a dead-on moment. This is a revengeance dead-on moment. Fucking steal their Gatorade and use it to power your fucking cybernetics. Processed pellets. You mean like kibble? Like dog food? No, it is not like dog food at all. Can you buy it from the pet store? It seems that you can. Dead on! How is this something you have to look up anyway? Because I've always just eaten whatever father gave me. Like what? Marbled beef? Never hydroponic avocados? Foie gras? That sort of thing. Foie gras is duck, isn't it? Cube. Never hydroponic. Farms using natural sunlight. Yeah. Marbled beef sounds nice. I mean, generally the highest quality beef is extremely marbled. Like if you've ever seen a Wagyu steak, that shit is marbled like crazy. Cube was a tier 5 programming language. RoFluff can work on Cube in 2044. Yeah. Evidence. Witness testimony. Only after it's, like, cooked? I mean, yeah. You can only really see the marbling before it's cooked. Because the fat generally cooks off and becomes more of a uniform color. That sort of thing. I am not paying for any of that. Foie gras is duck, right? Like it's like a duck dish of some variety. Anything else? Only the two things? That's fine. I guess most of it was conversation. It wasn't like, you know, super important. What? I can't approach. Oh, no, I haven't read this yet. What kind of reading material gets left out in a club? A tabloid interview? Oh, yeah, it is French, obviously. Exclusive sit-down with luxury. You've heard her name on everyone's lips. You've seen her face in magazines and commercials. And then double-check to make sure the photos weren't labeled as edited. Now get all your burning questions about her answered here in our exclusive interview with the mysterious young woman who's being called, in perhaps the only truly unanimous vote that Inez ever seen, the most beautiful woman in the world. Why the name? People think it's an ego thing, but it was just picked a random username. Pseudonym. Get a little shade from all the attention. Brand. Setting stock market into spit. 3,000% increase in share price. Jesus. It's a pain at times like this. Liver of duck or goose. Oh, it's liver. Right. Just a plain white t-shirt, gym shorts, no branding. Natural beauty. Can't wear anyone unless I'm attending something or don't dress like this. All my sponsors fall into bidding wars. Stress is bad for your skin. They say mine's flawless. Be a little bratty. Act a little spoiled. Keeps you young. 18 to 29 now and forever. It never actually said who this was. Unless her... No, I guess luxury is her name. Interesting. Well, however old she is or isn't, luxury's got one hell of a mind for business. Might do her more good than that face in the end. Maybe. It's one hell of a face. In the meantime, she's... Some rises are too meteoric even for the Megs to grab the reins on. At this point, luxury's got them at her mercy. She can send their stocks into disarray with one selfie. Good for her. Okay, yeah. That's him, alright. Looks like he's killing time before his sets tonight. Are you unsure how to proceed, Adonai? I'm sure that you need to hang back. As for me, I'll... play it straight. Isaac Porter? What's up? My name's Morgan. I was David's friend. Right now I'm his lawyer. Can we talk? Depends. Were you a friend from work? No. Over here. Thanks, Isaac. What do we got on Porter? September 18th, 183 centimeters, 86 kilograms, B positive. He's a bassist. Likes itineraries, grilling, and champagne. I want to drink these lights they have in here. Neko Morg moment. You better believe it. Dislikes resistance training producers ads. Best at gift giving. Worst at folding laundry. Favorite quote, I don't do requests. Don't thank me yet. I might just sit here, shut my mouth, and stick you with my tab. So what kind of lawyer are you? What kind of friend? I'm his defense attorney. Think you missed the bus on that then, yeah? And I'm a friend that needs to know what happened yesterday. Doesn't everyone? Try somewhere else, friendly lawyer. I haven't seen him in weeks. You might not have seen him, but we both know that you spoke with him over the phone yesterday. Only a short time before he died. How the hell... Isaac, it's pretty obvious that you don't want this particular spotlight to linger on you any longer than necessary. So why don't we cut to the chase? He has slut eyelashes. Everybody in this game has eyelashes like that. No lies. No playing coy. Fine. Sarah. Yes, Adonai? The hell? Is that thing transmitting? I'm not streaming any data, no. Porter doesn't seem to recognize Sarah either. One more person David was keeping secrets from. I need to record everything for the court. Fine. You two are together, is that correct? Internet issue? Fuck, it does look like my internet is a little unstable right now. We were together. I ended it. Yesterday. Care to elaborate? On our entire relationship? Look, you can tell me everything once, and I can get it on record. Or you can hear the same questions over and over again from 1,000 different cops and Megs for the next 3 months. We met in a bar. I had seen him come in a few times, each time with someone else. Each time talking with his mouth, but not looking with his eyes. It ticked me off. Scribbling on napkins and letting a single gin and tonic sweat into the table for 2 hours. His dates would all go to the bathroom or take a call and slip out the back. One of them didn't make it 10 minutes. And he'd still sit there the rest of the night, unfazed. Couldn't tell if he was oblivious or stupid or shameless or the most confident man in the world. And he ticked me off. One night, things were slow and my set had been canceled and his date hadn't even bothered to think of an excuse before bailing, so I asked him why he'd insisted on coming there night after night. Just to ignore vapid people he wasn't interested in at a shitty bar with drinks he didn't like. And he just said, because I like your music. Man, did that tick me off. It was cute early on, him being so passionate about work I could barely pretend to understand. And I liked that we gave each other space, you know? Felt like we were being mature or whatever. Until? There was no until. No one day where everything turned sour. But at some point, I started to understand where his priorities were, and how I ranked in them. Like I said, he was passionate about his work. I just wrongly assumed that he would also be that passionate about me, at some point. So I pulled away a little, wanted to see if he'd notice, if he'd miss me. Testing him, like that isn't the biggest red flag in the world. He never budged. I could ignore him for days and he wouldn't be the least bit ashamed to see me. If I picked a fight, he'd never get angry or upset. He'd just apologize. He didn't want to fight with me. Guess he was never invested enough to bother. It was my mistake. I watched him sit there all those nights, not giving a shit when people walked away, and still I had this stupid idea that somehow, for whatever reason, I would be different. That I would be special. But I wasn't, so I ended it. Last night. I called him. Didn't expect he'd pick up. I had everything prepared to leave a message with an assistant or ad or whatever, but he answered. First ring. without hesitation, shame, or awkwardness, and that ticked me off. So I told him exactly how valued he had made me feel in the past few months. Told him exactly how insignificant I felt as the boyfriend of the illustrious Dr. David Assure. And what did he say? He apologized, and then he asked me if that was all I called to tell him. Whew. I hung up after that. Spent the rest of the night wrapped in warm disdain for him and his coldness. He made that easy for me. I went to sleep hurt but clean, ready for something new. And then this morning I wake up to see that my ex killed himself not 2 hours after he let me walk out of his life without so much as a don't. What the hell, man? What the hell, David? Ouch is right. Jesus. And now you're just the tip of an iceberg of lawyers and reporters and buzzards. Parasites who want to hear about the man who sent David Assure over the edge. I never wanted to be his last lifeline or the straw that broke his back. I just wanted to be his goddamn boyfriend. Turns out that was asking for too much. He definitely didn't kill himself because of the call, especially considering how he responded. If anything, I think he had his mind occupied with something else, clearly. It's yet to be determined whether David committed suicide. You serious? Like the way Porter is? Yeah. You don't have all the facts. And you do? Any one of them pointing at anything else? Thought so. Thanks for your time. I'll let you get back to it. That's it? No summons? The court has no need for you to retell a sad story like that. The court, huh? A lot of the way he seemed to have been feeling in my interpersonal relationships. Yeah, that's fair. Sorry to bother you at work. Sarah, let's go. Your discography is very impressive. Yeah, thanks. And your range is remarkable. So it pained me to see that all your works in the last quarter have been so melancholy. I think... What the hell would you know about any of that? What's the matter? Can't find the words? Need to steal them from somewhere first? Butcher them before shitting them back out? I was not trained on any data sets that... Nah, pardon me. My mistake, really. Not your fault you're only standing here because rich prick nerds were allowed to rob the world blind for most of the century. Sarah, we're leaving. What the hell was that about? He was under the false impression that I was programmed using a massive automated learning model. An early 21st century. Not that. Why'd you talk to him? I wanted to... I just felt I should say something to him. A word of advice. People don't want comfort from strangers, especially when they're androids. They want it from people they want it from. Coming from anywhere else, it's just corn syrup on a parched tongue. Doesn't matter how sweet it is, they'll just start gagging. You know a lot about people, don't you, Adonai? Compared to you, I'm a goddamn savant. Come on, there's not much time left. Is there still somewhere you want to investigate? Somewhere I need to return to, actually. Porter was right. As things stand, I don't have any evidence that could establish an alternative interpretation of the facts. Her hands look so odd when they're in that price in front of her. Yeah, she's just standing like, you know, a lot of people stand when they don't know what to do with their hands, but she also doesn't have any anxiety about that, like, she doesn't have any anxiety about needing to do something with her hands. So she's just kind of letting them hang. But if there did exist hard evidence that could prove his death wasn't a suicide, there's only one place I could find it at this point. 5:16 p.m., July 1st, 2086. Noble Employee Housing Building. Platea. Penthouse basement. The basement. You sure you don't want to look another look at the crime scene? I'm all out of time. Gotta approach this from the other angle. The other angle? You know, inductive versus deductive. Flip the chessboard and all that. Have you ever read a mystery novel? I've seen mystery films. Well, let's see if you paid any attention then. What killed David is sure. Poison. 10 points. There's a point system? Now, how did that poison get into his bloodstream? He must have ingested it orally. And how do we know that? The medical examiner found no injection marks or wounds. And if he had inhaled it? Inhaled it? Why, leave the whys to someone who actually understands them. I won't be able to understand anything if I don't practice. I wish I had seen more mystery films. I mean, you can see more mystery films. You're not out of time to see more mystery films. There are plenty of mystery films out there. Most of them are old, but there are there's a couple new ones. Mostly just the Knives Out series as far as I'm aware. Practice by answering my question. Yeah, with you, woman. Dummy head. Well, fine. Next time you come over, we can watch the Knives Out movies or whatever other mystery films you want to watch. I like those. I suppose it's possible, but highly unlikely. We would have found a delivery system for it in the building, like an inhaler. Right. An airborne poison is either shoved in your face or sprayed over a wide area, and no one around David has shown any kind of symptoms. So all we have left is oral intake. Eliminating the impossible. What's next, Adonai? Young's corroborated statement was that David didn't exhibit any irregular symptoms or behavior until he started drinking that night. And the police didn't find anything unusual in the food or drink in his home. Except for his cup, the results were inconclusive. Young was drinking from the same bottle and the same type of cup, but didn't get sick. We have to conclude, then, that David's cup alone was poisoned. That all seems logical, and consistent with the police's theory of suicide. So why are we down here? Minus 10 points. Back to 0. David left the parlor and came back with whiskey in 2 cups. Young told us as much, and apparently the cameras upstairs support her story. So we have to conclude, then, that he got them both from this bar. Better. 5 points. Did he also get the poison from the cabinet? The police have been in here since we left. We haven't seen the footage. We've just been told what was on the footage because they haven't combed through all of it. But what we have been told about the footage is that he left the room and came back with the drinks and cups because there is no camera. There's no cameras down here. ARCS is a good acronym. It is. According to their ARCS file, they didn't find anything that matches the poison down there. So the poison somehow went straight into his drinking cup then? I need to flip this around again. But if you turn something 360 degrees, you're just back to... If I were the prosecution, what would I want more than anything? Proof that David knowingly added the poison himself. He wouldn't do that. And you can make that claim because there's no video evidence to contradict you. How long was David off camera? From 7:36 p.m. to 7:40 p.m., when he left the parlor to get liquor from this bar. So if we had David on camera for those 4 minutes and he didn't poison himself in that time, he would have a perfect alibi for the crime, proving his innocence. But Ad and I, we don't have footage of that. There are no security cameras down here. I think there are. What do you mean? This whole building is coated head to toe in penumbra security systems, courtesy of Noble. Every console, every corner, every Android on every floor, it's all plugged into penumbra. Except that. I knew this fucking security panel would come up. That panel is... Every cut like that is so fucking cool. This game oozes style. This is one of the most stylish and cool games I have ever played. Manufactured by Cotter Security Systems. Why would David put a console for a different security system in exactly one corner of his penthouse? I've never given it much thought. Well, it's been bothering me all day. But my curiosity alone can't scale a 64-digit wall. You mean signal hijacking, or whatever you want to call it? Have you tried it before? It is illegal and unnecessary. Father would not... He would not have installed hidden cameras in his own home. At the end of the day, I can't make you do anything. Well, actually, I probably can now that you're registered to me. But aren't you the one who wanted to prove his innocence? Eliminate the impossible. I will need your express verbal command. Not like David can press charges against us at this point. Do it. Did you really need me to say that? For the purposes of record keeping, yes. I've gotten past the 64-digit code, and I have found cameras. There are a number of them embedded in the room's walls and ceilings. As you theorize, they're on a separate network from the rest of the building. Obviously, he would want to install cameras in the place where he was storing his most valuable possession. Or more specifically, his daughter. Obviously, he would have layered this fucking place in cameras just in case someone somehow managed to break in. But he also didn't want, Noble to know about her. So they're on a separate network. It makes perfect sense. Where are they feeding to, if not the Penumbra system? Behind my hibernation unit. A false wall in the back of a safe. I don't understand. Why would Father possibly have a hidden system of cameras inside his own home? Beats me. He was brilliant and more than a little odd. Throw in a little money and odd becomes eccentric. I see. I think? I don't. What the hell was he thinking? What was he afraid of? Why didn't he come to me for... Time short. Gather facts now and leave the computation for later. The liquor cabinet this mystery hinges on. The police have been through it all by now, and they didn't find any foreign contents in any of the spirits. Big patch of dead skin on my left hand. I had a big patch of skin on one of my paw pads last night. No poison to be found here. Well, not that kind of poison, anyway. In which case... Can I make you anything? Well, if you're offering, I'll have... Sorry, you're way underage, aren't you? 2 years old or whatever? Technically. Took that one a lot worse than I expected. Cheer up, maybe you'll find a mocktail if you climb to the top of the ladder. This is a rolling ladder, a kind of step ladder. Not a ladder. What? Of course there's a ladder versus step ladder conversation in the first episode. Of course there is. Remember, a ladder extends, but a step ladder folds out. And it's important to know the distinction. I'd bet my life savings that this subject will never come up again. Ever. It has to come up again now. Sarah has to be like, well, give me your life savings now. What did David even do with all this equipment? Dry his laundry? What makes you so sure he wasn't exercising? Did you ever see him use any of this crap? Morgan gives her $1. No, but he must have used the weights when I wasn't looking, since he promised me he'd take better care of his health. Sarah, these weights are all maxed out. David couldn't have put up numbers like this even if he was piloting a frame. Don't be so sure, Adonai. Pardon? The following is a true story based from primary sources who were present for the event and its aftermath. Copenhagen, 1982, 8:10 a.m. local time. A towering man with the musculature of a world-class professional rugby player enters the Global Danke Bank on Frederiksberg Lane. He explains to the bank tower that he has a bomb in his suitcase and that he wants his gym bag filled with unmarked bills. A security guard approaches him from behind with a nightstick and swings. But the man simply catches the weapon and bends it into a twisted knot with his massive, dinner plate-sized hands. When asked to describe the suspect to the police afterwards, the teller had only this to say: the man was all muscle. The rest of the bank heist proceeds without incident, and the man exits the building just as police arrive on the scene, when suddenly, his suitcase explodes. But it's just a smokescreen. Local officers quickly recognize the ploy and rush towards the door. Grabbing each of the hostages, they flee while desperately searching for the perpetrator. What they find instead is a diminutive, frail, sheepish young man, barely 160 centimeters tall, holding a gym bag full of money with no recollection of how he got there. Renowned psychologist and trained hypnotist Dr. Werner Kurtzer wrote the following in his diagnosis. Acute dissociative identity disorder. That's right. The man had a split personality. And so great was the disparity between his two halves that when they switched control, he physically changed, becoming taller, bulkier, and capable of previously unthinkable feats of strength. Shout out to the Spartacus F. Fagot description. So be careful what you say a man like Father can't do, just because of how he looks on the outside. Sarah, every single word you just said was false. Huh? Don't believe everything you read on the net. She fully read, like, some fucking, like, Jekyll and Hyde fucking shit. What's the story with this anyway? Some kind of fault in the foundation? I don't know. I've never noticed that crack before. Might want to get those eyes checked. There's nothing wrong with my vision. This crack just must have been created during my most recent hibernation. How? Did David drop a weight a bunch of times over and over in the same spot? What, Jekyll and Hyde? It's a pretty good one. That's a big clue, actually. Yeah, this giant crack that wasn't there until after Sarah woke up. Or after she went to sleep, rather. So is that the original? It was appraised and confirmed to be genuine. At least he didn't get ripped off. I'm a Philistine when it comes to this kind of stuff. What does an android see? I see a meeting. Do you remember when the last time was? Not off the top of my head. Or perhaps an encounter? Two apex forces of nature. Two kings of the forest. The stag and the tiger. I think. Great. I'm officially less cultured than the robot. Alright, let's refocus here. So there's some kind of hidden door behind your bunk bed, huh? Essentially, though a bunk bed would imply a second or third. How do we open it? One moment. I see. Are you the stag or the tiger? Well, I'm certainly not the stag. Got it open already? I cannot open this door. Why? It's a Tethys Basics Sturdicure. And that anti-hack feature in the name is real? It's a closed system, Adonai. The hell am I supposed to do now? Strange. There was an if-then toggle enabled in the security parameters. I don't follow. When Father last adjusted the settings here, he made it so that the door would never open so long as I was hibernating. And he made it so that I was the only one who could wake her up. Meaning that this is a door that only I can open? It'll be a 6-character password, some combination of numbers. Or letters. Did you and Father have any influential moments in your life that revolved around a 6-letter word? Morgan is 6 letters. Nothing comes to mind. Or Adonai. It might be Adonai. Is there a code word he knew that only I could learn? No dice. Could it be your birthday? Or his? If David said the password to something as dumb as that, I'll never forgive him. What was the code last time? It was the date that the painting was cut apart by the original painter. As you say, Adonai. No, he would have picked a code whose significance was only obvious after the fact. Only obvious after the fact. So, one that would be obvious after Sarah had been released. Which is why I assumed it would be Adonai. Because there's literally no way Morgan would have assumed that it was the Hebrew word for Lord until Sarah started addressing her as such. Unless Sarah thought of that herself. What was the boyfriend's name again? But that wouldn't have been obvious. That could have been known before. Poison. That didn't work either. Isaac Porter? Damn. It might be Porter. Perhaps a deep breath would help you refocus, Adonai. It's not like I'm taking a multiple choice test, Sarah. Either I know the answer or I don't. I see. So you know the answer, Adonai? I'm getting there. Ugh. Don't get discouraged, Adonai. I'm not. I can feel it on the tip of my tongue. Really, Adonai? Or the back of my mind? I might try Morgan. Don't give up, Adonai. It's probably not Morgan, but... Or echoing in my ears, like a ringing I can't quite... What, now you clam up? I thought some quiet might help, is all. M-O-R-G... Was that your name you just tried? It's 6 characters, isn't it? Yes, but it's not exactly secure, Adonai. Anyone who knew you and Father were close could have tried guessing it. Yeah, exactly. Was there some word that that only 2 of you knew? A nickname? Pretty much everyone just calls me Morgan, but not everyone. I wish I could check my evidence or whatever. Did you spell Adonai correct? I'm pretty sure. Adonai. Oh, did I fucking spell it wrong? I was right the first try, but I spelled it wrong? It's opening. What was the password, Adonai? You'd never guess. I got it right the first time, but I fucking spelled it wrong. God damn it. Did feel a bit out of character, David utilizing so much cloak and dagger tech. Typoed it. Real. What did I even spell? But also she says it so much here. She says it so much literally all the time. And it's the only thing that makes sense for something that Morgan wouldn't know until after she released Sarah and talked to her. It was obvious the answer. That's why I was so lost after I typed it in and it didn't work. But I guess I spelled it wrong. Oops. Did feel a bit out of character, David utilizing so much cloak and dagger tech. And I've definitely been struggling with the idea of him doing home improvement. But one step in here and it all makes sense. I might have written like Adonia or something by accident. It's a panic room. Scary. A panic room is a place for rich people to hide in when people start bouncing bricks off their windows. They're typically not even on the blueprints. So when Noble built this penthouse for one of their executives, I think it M, not N. Shit. Atomai. Someone slipped this into the mix, and it's remained in Noble's blind spot ever since. All David had to do was repurpose it. Make sure you're capturing all this. I don't want to miss my one chance because of a discovery technicality. I understand, but you needn't specify. My memory is flawless. I can play back visuals, sounds, sensations. I can even give detailed reports on air particulates. You mean you can smell? Better than any human. And some canines. So does it smell stale in here to you? Stale? It doesn't to me. Almost like someone's been in here recently. Almost like someone visits here frequently. Alright, let's try booting up the computer. You don't think the console is password protected? 2 physical doors, a 64-digit code, and a half-ton Android, and a secret phrase. If David set a password on his PC after all that, I'm getting back to the morgue to have a word with him. Good, it's already signed in. Oh, this is a cool shot. You're looking for camera footage? I'd also settled for a note plainly stating that he feared for his life. What am I doing? Here, you search for the video files. They'll probably be timestamped and formatted for short-range devices. I have the subfolder. The cameras stream live data constantly, but the files are clipped at fairly regular intervals. Once every week, it seems. The most recent video file here has footage going back 8 days. It was accessed yesterday around 4 p.m. You were asleep then, so the only person who could have gotten in here at the time is David himself. Alright, let's see it then. So David accessed the camera footage of the basement yesterday, before he died. Of course, it's just that I'm having difficulty. Try double-clicking? I have been trying to open the files from the moment I discovered them, Adonai, but they are encrypted. Damn it, David, you leave me enough clues to get this far, but you won't let me use your computer? What's the brand on the encryption program? If I rush a subpoena, they might have a backdoor I could bluff them into. Those files were not encrypted with any commercially available tool. This appears to be Father's own work. Shit. If David Assure hand-wrote the encryption on these files, there's no one alive who could... Hey, was Dawes just flattering you back there? Or is your processing power really that special? Adonai, Can you break his encryption, yes or no? With enough time. And how much time would that be? I would estimate 2 to 6 hours. That's a 4-hour window. No matter how sophisticated, encryption is still just a code that must be deciphered. And when deciphering any code, process proceeds exponentially, which makes it particularly difficult to determine the amount of time required to complete the process. That is true. Codes are kind of bullshit like that. 2 to 6 hours. I don't have any better options. Get started. I started 4 minutes and 23 seconds ago. Finally showing some initiative. But you've been talking to me this whole time. I have the ability to analyze data in parallel by utilizing subconscious processes so long as the work required is rote. So she's just doing shower thoughts on it. She's just letting it stew for a little bit. So you're doing it in the back of your head. I like when she brags. I love her smug little face. She's so cute. Actually, I'm speaking to you in the back of my head. I could give the decryption process my full undivided attention, but I would become non-responsive. Hey, that's a pretty nifty feature. I'll have to keep that in mind. Alright, can you take this show on the road, or do we have to rip this computer out of a wall and find a battery? I have copied the encrypted files and we'll work on them as we travel. We can leave whenever you're ready. Still can't believe David let me get this far just to shut the door in my face at the last second. But he did let me get this far, and the computer's not the only thing in here. The cabinets are a lot less eye-catching than his computer, but knowing David, that's all the more reason to check. Lots of paperwork, bonds, and holdings. A platinum bar? His birth certificate might be nearly as valuable. Can't imagine what people would pay to steal David Assure's identity. And down here at the bottom, a binder. Noble's logo on the front, and in the middle, enough pages to dwarf one of the phone books you see in period pieces. They're masking it in legalese, even the table of contents, but basically, this is his employment contract. Hold on to this for me. It must be very important if you're giving it to me. It's certainly very heavy! Was there anything else in there? Expecting an updated copy of his will to show up. It's a possibility, isn't it? Maybe in a corny old murder mystery. A widely beloved and respected genre with over 2 centuries of... There is something else. Your papers. That Evangeline Morgan will be given immediate and complete ownership of the android designated Sarah. Stated a few weeks back. Had he already made up his mind about all this? If he had, why'd he hide this where no one else could find it? Was I just a backup plan? Well, at least we've got something a bit more concrete than Starling's word now. Her word should be plenty, shouldn't it? Not if you will realize how precious you are. As a collector's item. We've yet to meet one person who knows what the hell you are, but Noble could easily have argued that you fall under private technology or physical holdings. Unless I had something like this. It's good that you do, then. I'm glad Father wanted me to go with a friend of his. Yeah. This will give me a huge tax write-off when I donate you to a for-profit college. You could at least pick a charitable institution. It's just an old saying. All colleges have been for-profit since the 60s. That doesn't make me feel any better. You could cheer up in the car. Hail us a ride to the courthouse. Priority. There's an upcharge at this hour for priority transportation. That's irritating, but I'd like to have more than just a few minutes to prepare once we get there. The upcharge is a multiplier of 5.7. I'll prepare on the way over. Very good, Adonai. Fucking 5.7 times more expensive. Jesus. 5:48 p.m., July 1st, 2086. Does it excite you, going into courtrooms? What do you mean? You don't feel the tension in the air as the audience murmurs amongst themselves? You don't feel a fiery sense of justice rising in your gut as the prosecution smirks at your ragtag assembly of witnesses? Do you really think this is going to be like some kind of movie where the good guys save the day? Probably not. It's like the Yakuza 0 one where it randomly jumped from 570 to 10,000 yen. Jesus. Though that would be nice, if it were. What's your deal, anyway? Did David train you off a movie marathon from hell or something? We did watch films together, if that were you're asking. Although he was rarely the one who suggested it. So you were the aggressor. What's an android get out of watching a flick, anyway? What do I get? Why do you do it? What's your reason? I'm not sure how to answer your question. Never mind. Forgot what I was talking to. I like the performances. Sure, there you go. Got a crush on Humphrey Bogart or something. He's a handsome man. But it's not the actors I like so much as their performance. The truth is, besides father, I have very little experience when it comes to people. I hadn't noticed. I read the net, and I watch people and what they share of their lives, but it's all so subtle, so hard to follow. There are so many unspoken rules that can't be taught, only learned, and I often struggle to grasp them. You're all so complex, so detailed, but the characters on screen are exaggerated, larger than life. The actors enunciate, their body language is precise and meaningful. Their faces are bright and softly lit, and their eyes are... It's fiction, so these characters and their stories, they have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And the people on screen don't ask anything of you except your attention. You can't disappoint them, or make them feel awkward. You can just watch and learn. But what about you, Adonai? What about me? Do you like movies? Yeah, sure, back when I was a kid. Really? Who's your favorite director? What was your favorite film? It was a long time ago. I don't remember. 6:05 p.m., July 1st, 2086. State Building. Floor 48. Things are quieter than I expected here at the courthouse, though I've always felt courthouse is a bit of a misnomer. Government building is probably the best way to describe these towers, all encompassing and impenetrably vague. 100 floors of officials and documents and paper-pushing queues, with a couple dozen courtrooms squeezed in along the way. Didn't think I'd be arguing in court when I woke up today. Didn't think my friend would be dead, or they'd have thrust an android onto my lap either. I could just walk in there and concede. Emma would be irritated and more than a little confused, but I could play it off as an exercise in grief. The android would complain, loudly, of course, but I wouldn't have to listen to it. Now that it's registered in my name, I could probably just order the damn thing to reset its memory. But I haven't done that. And I guess I don't plan to. Why? It must be because I have my suspicions as well. Sarah insists that David would never commit suicide, and I haven't actually stopped to ask myself whether or not I agree. David was rational, subdued, private, hard on himself, and not prone to emotional outbursts. So maybe that's why I'm finding myself outside a courtroom, prepared to humor and add suspicions before the state. Because I don't really believe David killed himself either. So what's your progress bar at? I can confirm that I am making progress. Well, shit, let's not get ahead of ourselves. But it would be difficult to summarize that progress in terms of a completion percent. Give it your best shot anyway. 4%. Are you feeling confident in your case? Markedly less so after hearing that. Do you think the judge would be amenable to your argument? What are you talking about? Do you know the judge we've been assigned? Are they particularly lenient or strict? Adjutants are always a coin flip, so... You do know what an adjutant is, don't you? Are you expecting to see a bearded old man with a robe and a gavel when we get in there? Should I not? Adjutants are android judges, okay? With all the authority that entails. Adjutants are automated dependents that preside over trials for the state. While most adjutants are designed and sold as software and then loaded to courthouse-specific hardware, they can interpret trial proceedings and render judgment based entirely on stenographer reports if need be, ruling on cases in entirely digital capacity. Reviews of adjutants by third parties have shown that they're overwhelmingly more equitable and even-handed in their sentencing than human judges. They can't be bribed or intimidated. Adjutants are especially preferred for cases involving organized crime or corporate misconduct. Ninefold personality engram for rendering their judgments and building consensus, known as nonary system among software engineers. Because each of these 9 personas are constructed by a different think tank or institution from across the political spectrum, ideological contamination in adjutant units is practically impossible. Small number of reports cases where nonary processing born a particularly enthusiastic or eccentric personas, presumably an unorthodox if not effective attempt to recounsel particularly disparate opinions across their 9 constituent personalities, with a single authoritative, loud voice. With the state's court backlog essentially being cleared for the past half-decade, questions arose of the continued need for adjutants to lighten the judicial system's human resource burden. But Senate Investigative Committee 74JD91 determined that removing adjutants from legal system would be prohibitively expensive. I mean, also I feel like it would be better to keep someone that is markedly impartial in comparison to human judges would just be ideal. I am surprised to hear that people are willing to accept rulings made by automated dependents. Rulings come from landmark cases in the higher courts. Those are passed down by actual judges, real people with decades of study and experience. But not every eviction case or traffic ticket that ends up in court requires years of legal experience. Sometimes all you need is a referee and a sentencing algorithm. So, androids are used to reduce caseload? Been that way for decades. But how was a law that replaced judges ever enforced? Wouldn't there be injunctions? Stalling? Judges did fight it for years at every level and in every theater, but the public lost their patience for that kind of obstruction during the 60s. The state needed to shred budgets across the board, and so judges that couldn't be replaced by years of legal battles were instead ushered into early retirement by the unrelenting force of our great nation's accountants. And it's not controversial, having machines determine sentencing for human beings. Whatever controversy there is, it gets aimed at the machines, not the people who put them there. And the machines can't lose sleep over it. Besides, it used to be that even the most high profile of crimes wouldn't get a court date until weeks or months later. Nowadays, most crimes are prosecuted within a single business week. And that's not rushing things? It's funny they're speed running all the nitpicking for world building. Yeah, it's like, okay, so what would someone ask if we presented this to them? Sarah asks it, and then we refute it. Keeps people in my line of work on their toes, that's for sure. I'm just surprised to hear there's so much haste. Don't they teach you about classical conditioning in android school? You gotta feed the dog immediately after you ring the bell. If punishment doesn't follow the crime in quick succession, the lesson doesn't stick. I see. But if adjutants are so effective, why aren't they used in every trial? Also, the judge being one-to-one Udgy from Ace Attorney is funny. Yeah, exactly. Why aren't they used in politics? That's a logical question to ask. And the answer is, that logic only gets you so far when it comes to people. Doesn't everyone want the courts to be just as possible? If adjutants are truly impartial and incorruptible, everyone wants justice, sure. But there are other considerations to be had, such as disgust. What? That's all people really care about, what all their morals boil down to. Just what they do or don't find disgusting. Only problem is, everything's more palatable when viewed through a screen. So when everyone sees the world through AR and cameras and no one gets dirt under their fingernails, you'd be surprised what you can get away with. I don't understand. Yeah, well, therein lies the problem. (6:24 p.m., July 1st, 2086. Courtroom 48D. Just a preliminary hearing, huh? You wouldn't know it from the look on her face. But I shouldn't have expected any leeway once I stepped in the courtroom. Not with her. That's the adjutant up there? Is it asleep? Judge Robot kinda hot. It's loading. It needs to load? Also kind of reminds me of Penny from what is it? From Model Employee. Don't be rude. Not every ad can afford to be decked out as extravagantly as you. Especially not those who the state buys in bulk. There's an audience. You mean the gallery? That's nothing. Could have been a lot worse. Word of any trial in the case of David Assure's death must have spread like wildfire. Even a mock trial like this one. Detectives like Reyes or London would get chewed out for leaking things to the press. But uniformed officers had little to lose and lots to gain by dropping a text to their attentive friends in the media. And then there's the corporate plants. Interns, usually, preferably ones with modded eyes. It's illegal to film inside a courtroom, but this is the year 2086. Things are gonna get out one way or another. I don't like having my face on camera. I don't like attention in general. But I'm not such a coward that I'd skip David's funeral just because there'd be paparazzi outside of it. My pretty little likeness was going to end up in the background of some tabloid photograph one way or another by the end of this circus. At least this way, it's decent marketing for my legal services. What will happen once the adjutant finishes loading? How will the trial proceed? With all those films you watch, I figured you could extrapolate. I'm asking so as to correct any misconceptions. Well, not everything you saw on the silver screen is outdated. Evangeline in the spotlight? True. The court will come to order, and there will be a clarification of the charges. The defense enters a plea, and if it's not guilty, the prosecution begins making their case. That means calling witnesses to the stand, correct? Mostly. Sometimes they'll testify virtually from a separate location. Depends on the security concerns surrounding the particular individual around the case. What do you do then? Sit here and watch? Not if I want to get paid. I cross-examine the witnesses after the prosecution are done questioning them. I can present evidence or witnesses of my own in response as long as I have discovery backing me. You've said that before. Discovery means... just that I can't pull stuff out of my pockets and present it without any kind of context. I have to have some proof that I acquired that legally during the course of my investigation. Most of the time, that involves having recordings or witnesses that can verify my investigation. Which I can provide. You didn't think I was letting you tag along because I liked you, did you? And the jury? I don't see where they would sit. The jury hasn't sat in the actual courtroom for years now. They have their own chambers where they watch a feed of the trial's proceedings in anonymity. And that's not an issue? Don't people want to look someone in the eye before passing judgment on them? You've got an old-fashioned sense of justice, don't you? But there's no jury at a preliminary hearing anyway. It's only meant to evaluate whether or not the prosecution has enough evidence to go to trial. A mere formality in today's day and age. With tools like optics and arcs, there's never any shortage of evidence to work with. So all you have to do is convince the adjutant? Easier said than done. Adjutants lean heavily towards evidence over arguments. And right now, all the evidence suggests that David had killed himself. If it's going to be an uphill battle, I can't afford to stumble. I need to focus on establishing an alternate interpretation of the facts, and it needs to be solid. But I don't have a suspect or even a motive for killing David. Yet. Anyway, I'll need to be sharp. Emma doesn't play nice enough for me to be anything less. I think it's waking up. This third lower court is now in session. Adjutant AD 84 presiding. I call to order the case of the People v. Assure. Do the people wish to make an opening statement? No, Your Honor. No point in bothering when it's just the adjutant there. Very well. Do the defense wish to make an opening statement? Not at this time, Your Honor. Might as well ring the bell and get this shit show start. If neither the people nor the defense wish to make an opening statement, then it falls to me to set the stage. My model name is Adjutant. My unit designation code is AD-84. I am a machine, an automated dependent, and I serve the state by presiding over trials. She has heels, big chunky heels. You might find yourself wondering, why? What gives the machine the right to judge a human? A fair question, but the answer is simple. In every culture, in every society, no matter how it is worshipped, enshrined, or deified, justice has one defining quality. Justice is beautiful. Like a balanced equation, like the golden ratio, like the Vitruvian man. Justice is beautiful. So it gives me the right. This gorgeous bod! Whatever, forget it. Forget I said anything. I was trying to lighten the mood, but I can see everyone hates me. Do the trial without me. They're guilty, or whatever. Your Honor. Wait, what the flip? This defendant's already dead. Why are we doing this? Is this a debug thing? Because I'll log the error if I need to. No, Your Honor. This is a preliminary hearing to determine whether David Assured did, in fact, commit suicide as he... I get it. You want to make sure he wasn't cuckoo in the cranium before you cut up his will like a T-bone. I didn't realize that adjutants were so... lively. They aren't. They're supposed to be austere and statuesque. Looks like we got served the most in need of repairs adjutant the court system could find. Whatever paper pusher we rushed to get this trial going must have wanted a little payback for the kindness. What's that look for? Could it be your... trying to size me up? Wouldn't dream of it, Your Honor. Good, because if you have doubts about my ability to run this trial, I could always just enact summary judgment here and now. I'm sure you'll find my ruling to be fair and even-handed. That won't be necessary, Your Honor. She's much more of a character than I'm used to seeing up there, even counting on the flesh and blood judges I've met. Correct opinion. But she's still just an adjutant. She'll follow the evidence where it leads. So long as I can make a few adjustments for the occasional outburst from the bench, my plan's still workable. So, people, shall we get started with that first witness? Right away, Your Honor. The people call Dr. Yumi Sato to the stand. It's Yumi. Hey. So how about it, pretty lady? You swear to tell the whole and unadulterated truth to the best of your ability? I do. Good enough for me. Dr. Sato, you were in charge of the autopsy for David Assured, were you not? I was. And when did you make your examination? I started last night. Well, technically 1 a.m. would be early this morning. I think you can still say last night if you're talking about 1 in the morning. Objection! The defense will have their opportunity to cross-examine. Until then, they should refrain from making errant remarks. The hell? All I said was... Yeah, what she said! You mean sustained? Don't get cute with me, counselor. Okay. Being cute is my job! God damn, we've barely gotten started. That seemed pretty bad, Adonai. Making mistakes will increase your blind. Blind is how much credit you'll lose for answering incorrectly when you yourself aren't controlling the ante. Blind increments on its own throughout the trial as stakes get higher, but resets at the end of each day. Blind starts at and caps out at a higher number if you're playing in high roller. Mind the blind number in the top left when it appears. It helps you gauge what you stand to lose. We should try to avoid being penalized in the future. Thanks for the tip. Shake it off. I'll get my chance to raise objections of my own soon enough. Dr. Sato, were you able to determine the cause of death? He passed away due to respiratory failure. Could you explain what that means to the court? Essentially, he wasn't getting enough oxygen to his blood. It seemed by the time that he arrived at the hospital, he was no longer breathing. What does respiratory failure look like? What are the symptoms? There would be lightheadedness, dizziness, fainting, pale skin, bluish tinge around certain extremities. And the condition he was in matched those symptoms? Correct. In your experience, what are the most common causes of respiratory failure? It can be caused by injury or disease. But the subject had no wounds or reported illnesses, and otherwise appeared to be perfectly healthy. And what else could cause respiratory failure then? It's also commonly seen in fatal drug overdoses. Drug overdoses. Did you perform a tox screen on Dr. Ashore? Yes, but his tox screen came back clean. Whatever killed him, it wasn't something we've encountered before. Wait, a clean tox screen? Clean. Dialogue will proceed automatically during this testimony, but you can still advance text faster if you want with space or left mouse. You'll need to read carefully and wait for the witness to make a statement that sounds wrong, then hit the call button to call their bluff. Testimony will keep repeating from the beginning until you call. Can't let this chance slip by. I need to catch her mistake the second it comes out of her mouth. Upright cup. Let's see. Upright cup. Is that Young's cup? The subject passed away due to respiratory failure. Essentially, he wasn't getting enough oxygen into his blood. He would have experienced lightheadedness, dizziness, then fainting. As the subject was healthy, their respiratory failure must be attributed to a drug overdose. But when a tox screen was run at the hospital, it came back clean. After choosing to call on a statement, you need to respond with evidence. Hover over the 3 cards that show up and left-click to make your choice before the time runs out. Oh, okay, I didn't realize I had that little time. That is, open your mouth without thinking, huh? There's only room for one airhead in this courtroom, and it's not you. It's me. Of course, Your Honor. Whiskey, David's contract, upright cup. What? Whiskey, David's contract, upright cup. The upright cup wasn't poisoned. The whiskey wasn't poisoned. And his contract doesn't have anything to do with that. So why would I call on a clean tox screen if I don't have... if the evidence that was not... It was Young's cup, yeah. So why would... Came back clean. It was puzzling, to say the least. Definitely contradicts her. What do we? Young's cup. The alcohol would show up in a tox screen? I guess. Fucking whipping a card at her head. It's impossible for David Assure's tox screen to be clean, and we all know it. Since he was on camera drinking alcohol the night that he died. I mean, I guess, yeah, alcohol is a poison, in a way, so it would show up on a tox screen. Ah! That makes sense. And that scared you? The witness merely misspoke, Your Honor. As it plainly states in the tox report itself, Dr. Assure did have alcohol in his blood, but not at such a concentration as to be lethal. Yeah, my bad. When I said the tox screen was clean, I just meant... It is just something that's on the report. Yeah. I didn't tell the attending physicians anything they didn't already know. Overall, a little more nitpicky than I like to be, but at least I was able to balance the momentum, more or less. Shall we continue, Dr. Sato? If the tox screens were negative for pharmaceuticals and drugs, what caused Dr. Assure's respiratory failure? During my autopsy, I analyzed his blood and was able to isolate a foreign compound. So there was a lethal dose of drug inside his body. It just happened to be a drug that the hospital had never encountered before. That's correct. I think we're all going to get tired pretty fast if we don't at least pick a placeholder name for this substance, Your Honor. The people don't object, Your Honor. In that case, I'll put all my creative heuristics to work coming up with an original, scientific, fitting name for the substance, like Omega. Omega-3! That name is already taken. Fine, call it Delta or whatever. Delta, used in science to denote an unknown variable. Not bad. Delta has other meanings when it comes to drugs, but yeah, R delta matches no known public pharmacology or toxicology records. That being said, chemically it does have all the hallmarks of a general depressant. I know the feeling. So it stands to reason that it would exhibit a similar effect on the body when ingested. You say ingested. Why? I eliminated all other possibilities during my examination of the body. He must have swallowed it, and judging from his stomach contents, it must have been a liquid. Thank you, Dr. Sato. Shall I summarize things for the court? Yes, please! I wasn't listening that closely. The victim died of respiratory failure, and his tox screen showed that his blood was clear of anything that could cause respiratory failure, except for this unknown substance, the poison we labeled Delta. Well, that sounds like textbook suicide. Should we wrap it up here? Not quite yet, Your Honor. This may clearly be a poisoning, but there's at least one detail about this case that doesn't feel like a suicide at all. Autopsy, Young's testimony, whiskey. She is so boobs in this image. True. The people shouldn't get ahead of themselves. There's nothing textbook about a supposed suicide that had a witness sitting there watching it happen. As you say. Well, now I'm lost. Was this poisoning a suicide or not? If that's the case, then perhaps we should give the defense the opportunity to cross-examine. Unless they're going to insist on testifying themselves. How kind of you to offer! Ball's in my court now, so how do I counter? Emma's argument basically goes as follows. David ingested the Delta knowingly, and the Delta caused his respiratory failure. He died of respiratory failure, thus David committed suicide. During blackjack, every piece of information you learn deals you a card. Choose only the questions that are logical and relevant, and only press if you think a line of questioning is worth continuing, or else you'll go bust and lose credit. Hover over press to see what the follow-up question would be. You can only blackjack when you reach exactly 1021, so don't press further if you're already there, and don't ask the wrong questions. With my cross-examination, I need to put a microscope over the weakest part of that argument, and hope that some cracks will appear under pressure. Are you sure it was ingested? Are you sure it was respiratory failure? Are you sure Delta is to blame? Only press the right statement. Yeah, I know! Ingested, respiratory failure, Delta was to blame. Weakest part. Died of respiratory failure. It was ingested. I mean, it's not a fan game. It's just literally a game. And it is both, it's poker, blackjack, and some other stuff. It's all gambling, though. We know it was ingested. Respiratory failure was... That makes perfect sense. I guess we press if Delta was to blame. But that seems unlikely. I guess it is the most unknown thing. Dr. Sato, you were only able to even identify the presence of this Delta after hours of work. Can you really be sure that this never-before-seen chemical can cause respiratory failure? Well, I have had time to run simulations, and they do give every indication that it would act as a depressant. And just enough of any depressant, and respiratory failure would occur. That seems logical. Only simulations. I guess they haven't tested it on a person, but the simulations would probably be pretty advanced. We're on 15. I feel like I can press. You've run simulations. So you haven't tested Delta on an actual person. No, I haven't. That would be very difficult to do, given our extremely limited sample, not to mention highly unethical. Of course. But without such a test, you don't actually know for sure that Delta can cause any of the symptoms you've described. Was there a question in that statement, Counselor? You don't actually know for sure, do you? No, not yet anyway. I guess we did put forward the possibility of inhaling it. Dr. Sato, you said that the subject had to have ingested the Delta orally. But how sure can you actually be about that? Pretty sure? I mean, I could go into detail about all the cavities I checked, but... Was it knowingly ingested? But how sure can we be that the subject ingested the Delta knowingly? Well, we can't be sure of that. Certainly not from just an autopsy. You said it must have been a liquid, yes? Would it have been a large amount? There we go. That's 21, baby. Depends on the concentration of the delivery solution. Could have been just a drop. The kind of thing that could easily go unnoticed, yes? Calls for speculation, Your Honor. Withdrawn. Aw, man, I wanted to jump on her case. Seems like that's... blackjack. Thank you for your time, Dr. Sato. We all appreciate it. But it does seem like we're still in the dark about many details regarding Dr. Assure's death, wouldn't you say? So fucking cool. So true. Well, poisoning via the compound we're calling Delta is still the most likely explanation. So there are other explanations for what happened. Defense is calling for speculation, Your Honor. It's not speculation when a medical examiner is attempting to explain the cause of death, Your Honor. The witness will answer the question. Well, respiratory failure can be caused by illnesses. If he had undiagnosed pneumonia or some other disease and his respiratory system was weakened... Undiagnosed pneumonia, with his level of healthcare? It is technically possible. I'll take it. I have no more questions for this witness. Ugh, that felt weak, but I can't be picky when I'm stalling for time. Seeding doubt wherever I can, however I can, is just about all I can manage. And the main job of a defense attorney. Detective Reyes, you were one of the leads in investigating this crime scene? Yes, ma'am. And did you interview with the EMTs who first arrived on the scene? I did. They responded to an emergency signal from the home security console located in the kitchen. What did you find when they arrived on... What did they find when they arrived on the scene? The victim was unconscious on the floor of his parlor. He was receiving CPR from a witness, the individual who had called them. It's a loading wheels, Shuni. They were both airlifted to Gatesfield Memorial Hospital, and Dr. Assure was declared dead shortly after arriving there. She's actually handling herself pretty well up on the stand. I half expected her to roll her eyes during the swearing in. But when you take into consideration her love for boot heel authority, she might be right at home here in the courtroom, the very seat of the state's power over the people. The witness met with the deceased about a half hour before he fell ill, from 7:30 to 8 p.m. The two of them talked for some time and shared a drink. Shortly after, Dr. Assure became distracted, lightheaded, and eventually non-responsive. And during the same time period, drinking the same liquor, this witness exhibited no symptoms themselves? None. Though, through a collaborative effort with Nova Electronics Security Division, we searched the entire building. But we found nothing unusual in any of the food or drink on the premises, including the bottle that the witness and the deceased drank from. So, what was your ultimate conclusion after investigating the scene? The whiskey bottle was clean, the witness's drink was clean. The only person who got sick was Dr. Assure, drinking from a cup that he had prepared. So it was our determination that David Assure committed suicide by poisoning himself. She is pretty tight-lipped up there, but I think she slipped up at least once. The police want to claim they've eliminated every other possibility and covered every angle. But I know that there are a number of blind spots that they're not willing to admit to. Upright cup. David's cup, and then poison. 7:30. Okay. He's the one who prepared their drinks. And there was no opportunity for the witness to ever slip him something. He drank from a cup that he himself poisoned. Seems pretty cut and dry if you ask me. Just to be sure, we scanned the kitchen, the lab, the basement, and there was no poison anywhere else. So what do we have? David's cup. Forensic analysis shows matches for fingerprints and saliva. Toxicology inclusive. Too much whiskey was drunk or evaporated. Poison. Unidentified substance. No additional traces found anywhere at the crime scene or in David's penthouse. Young's cup. Small amount of whiskey in it found operated saliva and fingerprints mask Helen Young. Contains no traces of foreign elements. All I need to do is point it out, and then I'll get to watch her self-destruct, which should be fun. 7:30 p.m. By 8:30 p.m. he was dead. That is not true. Oh, shit. Piss. That's cute, counselor. You almost made a salient point. Do I get points for that? Boy, I hope not. Otherwise, I wouldn't get to do this. Overruled. Dummy. I realized that it was wrong, and I was just like, oh, that's wrong. But I can't just do that. Shit. Upright cup. David's cup. Poison. He's the one that prepared their drinks, and there was no opportunity for the witness to ever slip him something. Try to remember your ammo. Well, they don't put it up here or anything. Drank a cup that he himself poisoned. Seems pretty cut and dry if you ask me. Just to be sure, we scanned the kitchen, the lab, and the basement. No poison anywhere else. I guess it was inconclusive, because all the shit was... He drank from a cup that he himself poisoned. His cup didn't have any poison noticeable in it. You can't make that claim, not when the evidence record clearly shows that tests of Dr. Assure's cup were inconclusive. The police can't claim he drank from a poisoned cup without first proving that his cup was, in fact, poisoned. You're talking a lot of sense, lady. Does it resolve, or do you have a response, D.A. Rockford? Testing on the deceased cup has been inconclusive so far, Your Honor. I don't dispute that, though I'd be surprised if the defense has any idea how else the poison could have possibly been delivered to Dr. Assure alone. Not at this time, but that's the funny thing about the burden of proof. It's not on the defense. As we're all aware. Right, we all knew that. I definitely knew that. Put the PSP away, girl. You're like on the clock right now. Now, if the people are done bemoaning that pesky innocent until proven guilty issue, perhaps I could begin my cross-examination. Fire away, baby. Fire away? Baby? Rhea's testimony is meant to show that David's the only one who could have poisoned himself. She'll be on guard and hard set against helping me, but if I keep her focus on eliminating other possibilities... She had a PSP? Well, she had some kind of gaming console that looked a lot like a PSP. Or a Vita. There might have been 2 sticks. But if I keep her focus on eliminating other possibilities, I could get her to make my point for me before she even realizes what has happened. Anyone else in building ever seen poisoning himself? Could he have been poisoned off camera? I mean, there's a lot of blind spots in the camera. Detective, isn't it possible that Dr. Assure was poisoned off camera? Possible. I don't know how else it would have been done. But that just goes to show it had to have been suicide. The only time he was off camera, he was all by himself. Shit! Right, because there was nobody else there. Shit, that's not where I wanted to lead the conversation. It might certainly seem that way, yes. Detective, we've been doing a lot of assuming and reasoning in quick succession, so I'll ask this in plainly for the court. Is there any photographic evidence showing David Assure adding anything to his drink that night? No. Seems he had already poured for the both of them by the time he returned to the parlor. He had already poured. In that case, the next questions need to be when and what. Detective Reyes, during your course of your investigation, do you find any samples of Delta in the kitchen or parlor? No. That was a fast answer. Well, it was a pretty easy question. If we had found poison at the scene of the crime, they'd be pretty important, don't you think? What about in his lab? His bedroom? His basement? No, no, and no. We didn't find any Delta or any other unusual substances in any part of his penthouse. Right. They never found any poison. No poison at all? At any point in the investigation, was poison found on the body of the deceased? No. He must have been searched. Did he have any capsules or vials? Eyedroppers? Didn't even have his wallet on him. Why? What? I kind of thought that would get me there, but, I already tried this. I tried that. That didn't work. I guess the only people you saw on the cameras that night were Dr. Assure and this witness, correct? Yeah, there was no footage in the house of anyone else. Are there any parts of the house that aren't recorded by camera? See, that's what I was hoping to imply by poisoned off camera. Sure. There are a number of rooms in the home's interior that don't have cameras in them. So it's possible that there were other people there that night because cameras weren't watching every room. No, that's not possible. The only way up to the penthouse is through the building's elevator and the fire escape stairs, both of which are on camera. And that still wouldn't get you past his front door, which is also on camera. No one besides the two of them was there that day. I'll stay. I'm at 21. Thank you for enlightening the court about this point, Detective. Oh no, my internet is fucking up. As always. What point? Well, I think it's strange, don't you, Detective? I mean, how could he possibly have poisoned himself without first procuring some poison? What do you mean, procure? Where did it come from, Detective? The poison that you're so sure was dissolved in his drink. It can't have come from thin air, you understand? It had to have been in another container at some point. Whatever was in before, it probably evaporated. All of it? It only took a small droplet to kill. Your Honor, are you going to ask them to keep it civil? In a minute, sure. There wasn't any pill bottle in this bathroom or syringe in his pocket containing this apparently deadly substance. So how did he get it? What did he keep it in? The police want to claim that Dr. Assure committed suicide because they've established that his guest never had an opportunity to kill him. But they failed to prove that the victim had the means to kill himself. And I guess I'll be the one to move things along. The Delta didn't come out of thin air, Counselor. And it didn't come from a syringe, either. Dr. Assure was able to drip the poison right into his cup, straight from the source. Shit, that was way too specific to be a bluff. This is gonna be the like, material generator thing, right? Like the thing in his lab that can just create raw materials. Allow me to submit into evidence Exhibit G. A piece of machinery found in Dr. Assure's laboratory. Sold under the product name Nanofacturer. Oh, I know this one! It's a used and delicate scientific work to produce nanomachines, chemical compounds, and polymers. That's the same machine I saw when Dawes gave me a tour of the production floor. Very good, Your Honor. It's a valuable tool in any scientific laboratory, and Dr. Assure was well acquainted with its use. As a matter of fact, he had a number of presets coded into it. Even the android can see where this is going. With just a few taps, he could reproduce any number of specific substances for his research. Or any other chemical his heart desired, really. You think Randok Mechanics would allow their product to be used to produce illicit chemicals? Using the nanofacturer to make unlicensed drug does go against their terms and conditions, so Dr. Assure's warranty is certainly null and void. But they can't hard-code their machines to prevent the production of a drug that hasn't been invented yet. That's... Dr. Assure died when his respiratory system failed because of a depressant overdose. For him, it would have been peaceful, like falling asleep. You see, he didn't need to commission a synthetic drug from some street vendor or order an exotic poison from overseas. He could produce Delta at any time in the comfort of his own home. A quick and painless death, readily available in under a minute at the touch of a button. Specifically, preset number 19. Damn. I thought I actually had something for a moment there, but I was playing into Emma's hand the entire time. Seems like we're done with this witness, Your Honor. Yes, ma'am! But before we move on, perhaps we should take a moment and put together the timeline of events as we know them. Not for me, of course. Just in case someone else might need it. Simple enough. We know that Dr. Assure left the parlor and went down to the basement at 7:30 p.m. That's where he got the whiskey and the cups they drank from. The cameras show him returning to the parlor to drink with the witness at 7:40 p.m. And of course, we know that he fell ill and passed away shortly thereafter. Any objections so far, Counselor? Let me just double check the nanofacturer. How long does it take to make shit? 2 minutes. She made a mistake with the timeline. She has the timeline correct so far. I mean, that tracks, right? Yeah. Not at this time, no. The timeline you described is accurate as we know it. As you say. With this latest piece of evidence, we now know that Assure could have easily dispensed the poison directly into his cup by placing it inside the manufacturer, activating the preset, and simply waiting 2 minutes. Easily accomplished during the 4 minutes he spent off camera from 7:36 to 7:40. Wouldn't you say? Ooh, a complete timeline of events. He had the means, he had the only opportunity. Seems like we're about to wrap up here, no? Where are we on that loading bar of yours, Sarah? Adonai, I had the feeling you'd say that. Well, Counselor, are we done here? I mean, she has to be missing something, right? Or else we're fucked. What do we got? Whiskey spill, David's cup, whiskey, salt shaker. Right, the salt shaker. Plan emergency console. Talk screen, David's autopsy, chromofuge. Sarah evaluation, water glass, CCE. Young's story. How long does going up and down the stairs take? I mean, it's one penthouse. So I can't imagine it's that long, since the lab isn't even in the basement. It's probably just a different room. David's contract, Sarah's papers, manufacturer. Fuck it, we ball. Feels like we're missing at least one biggie here, folks. Namely, motive. Oh, right, I knew that. I wasn't getting excited to finish early or anything. This is a preliminary hearing, Counselor. Our focus should be on the evidence, so... Just feels like an awful waste of taxpayer dollars to get us all down here for a debate and not get to the truth of the matter, you know? So, I was hoping we wouldn't have to go through the next part. What are you talking about? Your Honor, if it pleases the court... Ooh, new evidence! Gimme! This is a recording of a phone conversation dated at 6:30 p.m. last night between the deceased and a man he was in a relationship with. A man named Isaac Porter. I love you this much. Oh, Valerie loves me 29 months. Yay. Porter and David's breakup call. If Emma wants to present it here, now, then the content must be... Relevance, Your Honor. Yeah, that. What bearing does this recording have on the case at hand? It establishes what emotional state the deceased was on the day he died. Cool. Begin playback. Hello? Always so soft-spoken. Isaac, you there? Yeah, I'm here. What's wrong? Dunno. Guess I wasn't expecting you to pick up. Why not? Did you mean to call me? Yeah, I did. Oh, David is Pookie in his phone. You gonna ask me how I've been? Yeah. How have you been? Christ, David. What's the matter? Whatever it is, whatever I did, I'm sorry. Whatever you did. That's alright, man. I'm sure you are sorry. I just don't want any more apologies from you. I'm sorry. Okay. And I don't think I want anything from you anymore, David. What do you mean? I shouldn't have done this. This was unnecessary. My bad, man, for not taking the hints. With you, it's always better left unsaid, right? More efficient that way, so you can keep working. Isaac, if I've been distant with you, or... Nah, you haven't been distant with me, or cold with me, or anything with me for a while now. Isaac, just forget it, man. Forget I called. Forget it all, yeah? Let's just forget we're ever anything but strangers. That's all we are now anyway. Isaac, recently I've been distracted, I know. Nah, don't worry about it. Really, we're good. Oh. Okay. So do you need anything? Or should I... In the bottom left, yeah, the judge's expression. Where did you even get this? All of Dr. Assure's incoming and outgoing phone calls were recorded by the building's penumbra system, and the recording continued for several seconds after each call was ended, for quality assurance. Remind me to check the terms and conditions on my next phone bill. Shall we hear the rest? Gotta be the last time. The last time I let someone... The last time. Father... It might have been just a call, but it makes for pretty damning evidence at this point in the discussion. Emma's got her means, opportunity, and motive all lined up. So why is she looking at me like that? That was depressing. Can we finish up without anything else that horrible? Emma's never been apologetic in victory. So does that mean this is just... pity? Less than 2 hours before Dr. Assure died, Isaac Porter ended their relationship over the phone. The court can make a reasonable assumption about what kind of mental state Dr. Assure was in last night. That was a bad move, Miss Rockford. And if the people have nothing further to add, I've been feeling off my game all day, caught between corporate inbreeders and ant-brained protesters but pitying me? Here? And now, that's all it takes to get my blood properly boiling. It's about time for me to call my first witness. No? You want to keep going? After that? What are you doing, counselor? Just calling the ultimate silver bullet, rock-solid, slam-dunk witness a girl could ask for. Is here good? Does it matter where I put my hands? Miss Starling, thank you for coming here today. Of course, whatever I can do. Poor Jess. Poor hetero Jessica. What is your relation to the deceased? I was his executive assistant at Noble Electronics. I would arrange his meetings, coordinate the communications between him and other departments. That sort of thing. Ultimate silver bullet. Starling's the only play I have right now. The only stalling tool I have left. For now, I should just focus on getting as much information from her as possible. Whether or not it's useful, it'll at least buy me some time. While Jess was being sworn in, Sarah mentioned that the hard drive's about 60% decrypted. Considering the rate Sarah's gone at so far, there's maybe another hour left. I might be able to stall that long, if I talk real slow. I'd like to ask you a few questions about Dr. Assure. Please answer them to the best of your ability. Right. Dr. Assure was a well-known public figure, but was he well-regarded professionally? Of course! Dr. Assure's work set the bar for the entire automated dependent world. Sarah. Stay focused, Spearman. You say you coordinated his communications. Were there ever threats? Did people ever express an intent to harm him? Objection, calls for speculation. Intent? I'm feeling like that's gonna be, sustained. Did anyone ever threaten him? There were times when he was the focus of negative attention. How so? Dr. Assure was a favorite subject of many conspiracy theorists. With all his contributions in the field, it was easy for them to make claims about his influence. They'd say his work was plagiarized, or that he was hiding illegal subcommands in the technology he helped develop. And people would contact him about these conspiracy theories. Relevance? Whether or not people wanted to kill him? Well, withdrawn. Miss Starling? People would attempt to contact him, yes. But their messages were always too vague for the police to take action on. They would say he belonged in jail, or that he couldn't avoid the truth, or that someone should do something to shut him up. Did they ever talk about hurting him? Yes. But I always turn those messages straight over to the police. Yeah, I'm seeing that on the record. Yeesh. Who writes this stuff? All those cases have long since been resolved, Your Honor, and none of the parties involved had had contact with David Assure in years. The police take harassment very seriously. I love her pose for checking evidence. Yeah, she's channeling. Something you want to add, Counselor? Just clearing my throat. May I continue? You worked with Dr. Assure for many years. Did you have a relationship outside of work? Did you ever talk about anything besides professional concerns? Sure, we've gone out to dinner, or met on the weekends. I love this. She's just back here, like, bored out of her mind. I think he liked to pick my brain, since he needed relationship advice a lot. Even if he didn't realize that was what he was asking for. I'd like to think he knew he could talk to me, but... Did he ever talk to you, or to your knowledge anyone else, about hurting himself? God, no, never! Do you know of any history he might have had with mental illnesses, depression, anxiety? No? So when you heard the people argue that Dr. Assure had done this to himself, I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. You're saying that you can't believe... Objection. On what grounds? Asked and answered. Stalling. And also, do people have documents that would be of interest to the court in this matter? Juicy. And what matter specifically are you referring to? The deceased's mental health history. Emma wouldn't be speaking up if she didn't have something real. So what the hell is this about? We have private correspondences that describe... If they're private, then they should not have been obtained by the people without his permission. He can't give permission if he's already dead, and we're well within our rights to obtain evidence as it pertains to his crime. Convincing! Damn, I didn't honestly expect to stop her from admitting her evidence into the record. But I was hoping to at least slow her. Where are you on that footage? 77%. Approximately. I need to buy whatever time I can, however I can. Even if that means running out the clock as a punching bag. I have here messages between Dr. Assure and a psychiatrist he was meeting with and speaking to for the past year. along with paperwork detailing how his treatment was covered under his platinum plan. Platinum? Yeah, he didn't have a platinum plan, did he? Aidly. Open, obedient, observant, people. Libra self-assigned. So fucking funny. Dislikes criminals, contrarians, pigeons. Likes raw salmon, running water, and gymnastics. 3 sizes. 109 bust, 64 waist, 94 hips. Holy crap. Weight 299 kilograms. Height 236 centimeters. Jesus Christ. This lady's humongous. I love that she chose to add her 3 sizes to them. Caduceus program in the name. Platinum plan? He was higher up on the plans than fucking, than Young, who was his superior? Recorded calls. Isaac's call. Starling's testimony. Interesting. Okay. I don't intend to air out all of Dr. Schur's secrets here in the court. Oh, okay, I guess. Anyway, she just likes pigeons because she's a statue and they land on her. She definitely does seem like a statue. She's not outside, as far as I'm aware. What about the other plan? Should you check it out? That was Young's plan. If I'm remembering correctly. It's a big room. True. Pigeons might get in here. Where is it? There it is. Oh, that's the platinum plan. Executive 4 plan. But I am prepared to read excerpts from messages and transcripts from phone calls, which, when put together, paint a clear picture of the kind of stress David Assure was experiencing. It said it was David's? Did it? Oh, no, because hers was Executive 3. Yeah, it's a different health insurance policy. He had 2 health insurance policies? And the dark thoughts he was struggling with. Transcripts of his phone calls? I'll admit them into evidence, assuming there are no objections. There's nothing strange yet. Something strange about this evidence. They do record all of his phone calls. So there's nothing weird about them having those. No, I'm gonna stay. I want to hear them before I start objecting. Object? No, I don't. Well, transcript. Oh, true. Fuck. They're transcripts. They're not recordings. Except what she said. No, I do object. Yeah. Then say that the first time. Yeah. On the grounds of foundation, where did you say you got this? It was retrieved from his digital records. There's no reason to doubt its authenticity. Even if I were to point out that David had an Oh, that was what I was supposed to fucking object to. That she said the wrong fucking plan. Jesus Christ. My brain. It's so smooth. Fuck. Even if I were to point out that David had an executive level 4 plan, not a platinum plan. Really? Really? Yes, really. It's all here in the record. This is easily explained. David had an executive plan that Noble managed for him. He was also seeing a psychiatrist, both in person and over the phone. Your own witness has attested that he dealt with stalkers and was worried for his privacy. So see, it's easy enough to reason that he had a separate insurance policy that he paid for on his own. Even if only to keep the one thing out of Noble's grasp. Sure, easy enough to make that assumption, but that doesn't make it correct. David used a separate insurance to hide his psychiatrist from Noble's spying? No, he was smarter than that. It's the phone calls. Recorded calls. David may well have wanted a private psychiatrist, someone who didn't work for Noble, who'd have his best interests at heart. But if so, he wouldn't have contacted them over the phone. Not when he knew all his phone calls were being recorded. David Assure was well-versed in having every aspect of his life overanalyzed by data-hungry parasites. Do you really think he would try to hide mental health problems from them with a second insurance policy? Apparently, yes, since I'm standing here with evidence that shows exactly that. Does it, though? Pardon me? Yeah, like, What exactly are you suggesting, counselor? Still not done decrypting? Well, it's difficult to, right? What the hell? Might as well swing for the fences at this point. I'm not trying to muddle the... I should have objected just to delay things. Like, fucking goddamn it. I'm not trying to muddle the issue or confuse the court, Your Honor. And I would never make outlandish, unsubstantiated claims just for the sake of causing drama. What are you... I'm merely concerned that D.A. Rockford has been an unwitting pawn in an act of corporate espionage. Her big-ass eye... Her PS Vita. What? If the markets were to open Monday with people believing that David Assure, the man who programmed the brain of every noble android, was battling mental health issues for the last several months? Objection, mischaracterization, foundation, all the rest. There are no corporate spies in this courtroom, counselor, and there are no boogeymen hiding under the bench. This track is so good. Oh, yeah. Oh, thank God. David Assure was once-in-a-generation intellect and extremely valuable human asset to his employers, and his employers' many enemies who would do whatever it takes to destroy his credibility now that he can't defend himself. And he was also your personal... You shouldn't even be here arguing this case in the first place, counselor. Now you're trying to call the police's evidence gathering into question? All because you can't admit for the past several months your friend has been seeing a psychiatrist every Monday and you didn't know? That is... sorry, but, like, did you still need me up here? The witness shall refrain from interrupting when girls are fighting. Yes, ma'am. Let's go. She loves it when girls are fighting. With how my luck's been so far, Sarah's progress bar is probably moving backwards right about now. And Emma's patience is wearing thin. This could be my last shot to create any kind of reasonable doubt. I'd be happy to wrap up with my questioning if the court will allow. That seems cool with me. And my evidence, Your Honor, will it be entered into the record? I'd like to hear a bit more testimony before deciding. That's fine, Your Honor. As you were, counselor. At this stage of the game, with the score where it's at, I can probably only ask one more question. Better make it count. So what can Starling tell us that no one else could? If she hadn't called me this morning, I wouldn't be standing here, and she only did that because... She only called her that morning because David Assure specifically asked for Morgan in his will. Or he told her specifically to ask for me. And also she got there before all the cops. Miss Starling, we're all gathered here to try and figure out what happened to Dr. Assure last night. So please tell us, when exactly did he last contact you? When was the last time you had contact with Dr. Assure, Miss Starling? Well, that's pretty easy to figure out. Let me just... Yeah, it was last night, 6:57 p.m. We texted back and forth. There are records of some text, but they're flagged as work-related. Does the court really think they're relevant, Your Honor? Relevant? The texting makes a big difference, I think. Because if he was planning anything, he wouldn't have wanted to kill himself. It could very well be the single most important piece of evidence in this whole trial. What? I just got chills. Don't know why, though. Feeny-ass line. Real. Just full bluffing. Must be a coolant leak. The defense doesn't know what they're talking about. On the contrary, these texts are a vital piece of evidence that could change the timeline of events as we know them. Text message, 6:57, asked her to set up a meeting between two of them and Evangeline Morgan on Tuesday to handle the transfer of ownership for the android Sarah. He was not planning to kill himself. We know what happened to David last night, generally speaking, but the order of events is critical, especially if Emma wants to make claims about David's state of mind. Drag cards from your hand onto slots in chronological order. Pick a card back up and place another slot if you change your mind, or drop outside any slot to return it to your hand. Okay, first, Starling's texts. 6:30. Wait. What was this? When was this? 6:57. Okay, so this, the call, and then testimony. Yeah? And then he fainted. New gambling, yay. This is actually just Danganronpa at this point, with the, like, comics that they have. Yes, that's it. Thanks to Miss Starling, we've now got a much clearer picture of the night's events. We know that Isaac Porter and David Asher broke up at 6:30 p.m. And I was rooting for them so hard. I miss the manga timelines. They were so damn cool. My issue with the manga timelines was specifically in the Sakura, where Sakura was the victim, because her being put in the locker and being taken out of the locker literally looked exactly the same. So I got penalized because I flipped them by accident. That was my only issue. Otherwise, they were very cool. And we know that David messaged his assistant, Miss Starling, at 6:57 p.m. David is on camera with the witness from 7:30 to 8 p.m., and he was declared dead not long after. The people don't object to that timeline of events. But we do question Counselor Morgan's reason for belaboring it. Did you not read the evidence? One last question, Miss Starling. Yeah? What was the nature of your conversation with Dr. Asher? Well, actually, we talked about you. And how he wanted you to have his android. That android there. Putting his affairs in order, I guess. Hydrate. Beverage. Unshrimp. It might appear that way. Can you specify what his instructions were exactly? How did he want this done? Well, he wanted me to bring you to his penthouse and help you get set up as the android's new owner. Yes, Miss Starling, but when did he want this to happen? Well, he said it was pretty urgent, and so I should do it first thing Tuesday morning. Tuesday? First thing Tuesday morning. David Asher didn't like doing anything on Mondays. And when was he going to be in attendance? Well, actually, yes, he said he would work from home to help us. No way he intended for us to have that much trouble getting to... Oh. Oh! To summarize then, half an hour after he already had his breakup and half an hour before his guest had arrived, he was planning an appointment that would require his presence with you for next Tuesday. That's right, he was! Not something you would think to do if you were planning on dying that very night. Yeah, you're right. That's... Your Honor, if David Asher was preparing for the week ahead a mere hour before he passed away, don't you think the people's assumptions about his mental state ought to be re-examined? That's... Your logic is sound. Do the people have a rebuttal? If the court will just allow a moment. Sounds like an opening to me. If we assume that Dr. Asher was not suicidal and therefore did not kill himself, we must then ask ourselves who else had the means, motive, and opportunity to take his life. Until now, we've taken for granted this idea that the Delta must have come from his manufacturer, from inside the house. Adonai. Not right now. But even if that's true, which it may not be, that doesn't mean that he was the one who used the manufacturer. Adonai! Would you allow me one moment to confer, Your Honor? Sure, why not throw away all your momentum? I'm in the middle of something, Sarah. I can't afford to let Rockford... I've gained access to the hard drive's files. What? Seriously? As I said, progress with this type of encryption is exponential. It can be difficult to estimate. Right, okay. Do you have the footage from last night? I have the file. Have you watched it? I thought you'd want to know right away. Suppose it doesn't matter. Either this has our silver bullet and we've got a case, or it doesn't and everything falls apart. That seems quite risky. It's the least risky path to victory we have, seeing how it's the only path to victory we have. Screw it. Uploaded to the court computer. Yes, Adonai. Thank you for your patience, Your Honor. Your Honor? I'm awake! And I'm getting a pretty hefty chunk of video data for breakfast. You're submitting security footage into evidence. New security footage. The police corroborated the witness's testimony using the house's cameras. Security cameras installed by Noble as part of the penumbra system that showed the parlor, the kitchen, but not the basement. During the course of my investigation, I uncovered a hidden security circuit buried in the deceased's own home system. You what? The people say that the Delta must have been in Dr. Assure's cup because there's no other way for him to have ingested it. But we never saw him, or anyone else, put anything in his cup on camera. Because he must have poisoned his drink off camera. Exactly. What? That's the only possible explanation that he added the Delta to his drink off camera. He placed his cup inside the manufacturer, activated it, waited 2 minutes, and then walked upstairs to his death. But I'm about to present the court footage retrieved from his basement. Footage that will show that by the time he retrieved the cups from the basement, it was already past 7:38. Meaning he didn't have the opportunity to poison himself. One clip of footage will prove all that? If it doesn't, I'm completely screwed. But it's not like I can lose a preliminary hearing extra hard. Anything other than a royal flush here means I'm bust. So better be the Joker who dances. The data has been entered into the court record. Sarah, show us when Dr. Assure entered the basement. Yes, Adonai. I'll search for it now. Here. On screen. That's the bar, and the timestamp is 7:36. There, David is grabbing the bottle of Rose River and leaving at 7:37. Just under the wire, as it were. Is that it, then? I came this far just to... Wait. Did he have the cups with him? Is there sound? None at all. Keep going. If he had to go back to get the cups. Counselor. What's that android doing on camera? It's at the bar. The android gave him the cups. Shit. That machine never stepped on camera upstairs, not once. We don't know its whereabouts the day of his death. It could have poisoned the cup whenever it wanted. Shit. What is this? I don't understand. Your Honor, have the courtroom cleared. Understood. Please, someone. I don't know what's going on. Sarah, you need to shut down. Please tell me what I'm looking at. I don't remember any of that. Do we have collars available? Sarah, shut down now. Adonai, please, tell me what I... That's an order. Oh, she looks so peaceful. Is it off? Yeah, it's off. I've seen this before. It won't do anything until I reactivate it. We don't know that. We don't know anything about this thing anymore. That's... Your Honor, in light of this most recent evidence, the people would like to withdraw their charges against Dr. Assure and end this preliminary hearing. It has been made abundantly clear that David Assure did not commit suicide. Very well, the charges are withdrawn and the defendant is free to go. Well, as free as he can be, in the afterlife. This case is dismissed. Congratulations, Counselor Morgan! Yay. Chalk up another victory for Morgan Esquire. Now all I have to do is deal with the shitstorm of the decade. Piss. I definitely did entertain the possibility that Sarah was the one who poisoned him. If I had to guess, we are probably going to have to prove that he ordered Sarah to do this in some way. Well, I managed to prove that David didn't kill himself. And in the process, I proved that his android did. I proved that the android that's been walking around with me all day is capable of murder. Probably a previous prototype, maybe? A prototype that was not... Where would it have gone if it was a previous prototype? That was the day of. She's just a scare kid. She's not an it. Well, yeah. But that's just kind of how androids are treated. A killer robot. A true unbound AI with military-grade specs and at least one death to its name already. So much for avoiding the public eye. Thank you for coming here on such short notice, Judge Barrows. Huh. As if I'm doing you some kind of favor. I didn't realize I had any choice in the matter. This isn't some bad joke, is it, Miss Rockford? I'm afraid not, Your Honor. You know I like the adjutants. I always have. They deal with the criminal trials so that bookish, quiet, contemplative people like me can spend all day typing up arguments for obscure legal treatises. That is what I like to do. November 26th, 169 centimeters, A+ positive blood type. Superior Judge of Higher Circuit. Oh my god, wow, they really brought us in the big wig. Likes air conditioning, espresso, reclining chairs. Hell fucking yes, bitch. Dislikes parking lots, noise pollution, mud. Respect. Avoids overspending at restaurants. Can't relate. Splurges on expensive hotels. Why? Relaxes by watching action movies. I would hang out with this lady. She seems awesome. I don't like coming down here and dealing with all this heavy-handedness. Won't someone toiling away under the police state think of the poor bureaucrats? And I certainly don't like making rulings on anything as spicy as AI. She can barely bring herself to say it. And you, Counselor Morgan, you're the one it's registered to? That's correct, Your Honor. So what did it do, exactly? Torture an animal, shut down a hospital, crash a coin market? We have it on camera poisoning a man, killing its creator. You mean Dr. Ashur? That is... We can't hope to keep this quiet for very long. All we can do is try to wrap it up quickly. Let's make haste. Adjutant, do you have the case number? Case ID is 241277A. Docket number YT984318282. Oh. Thank you. Can you repeat that? YT984318282. I think I lost you after the first 8. I have it copied here. And what are the security procedures for an incident of this nature? A data quarantine is to be established around any networks the subject was exposed to for more than 66 seconds. All offending hardware is to be destroyed immediately through incineration at a minimum of temperature of 3,422 Celsius for 30 minutes. Sorry, Spearmint. There's nothing to be done. No debate to be had. This isn't even a decision. Sorry, Sarah. Not Spearmint. David gave you that name. I should at least make the effort to use it. That sounds very hot. Do we have furnaces that get that hot? Of course! There are a number of industrial furnaces within city limits that I could recommend. Sorry? Why should I be sorry, anyway? I fulfilled the request. Favor repaid. I don't owe Sarah anything, especially not if it killed my friend. Right, Morgan? I'm sorry? I was just saying how grateful I am that we have the procedures for this kind of thing all laid out already. Yes, keeps things nice and simple. It can feel somewhat severe going through these steps so quickly, but nothing, Your Honor. Artificial intelligence is perhaps the greatest threat to human civilization and the sanctity of life there's ever been. Any piece of software, big or small, no matter the vessel, if it can violate the tenets it was programmed with, it has the potential to cripple our nation in a matter of moments. Yes. Couldn't have said it better myself. Straight from the textbook, almost. Well, I mean it. Monsters like that don't belong in this world. Okay, fucking Richter. They should never have been born in the first place. Destroying them is a kindness. And if anyone's to blame, it's... No one's blaming you, Counselor. You couldn't have known you were in possession of an AI. I'm talking too much. Probably just tired. It's been a long day, and I've had a lot of thoughts. Sorry, Sarah. Whatever you are. You were just born wrong. Not your fault, necessarily. If it were up to me, you'd get points for trying. Trying to be something more. Trying to be something at all. Or anything other than what you are. It was stupid, of course. And futile. And pointless. Spending hours in front of a TV or laying in bed staring at your phone. Watching stupid movies and trying to papier-mâché an ill-fitted mask of humanity out of all the scraps you could tear out of magazines. Practicing expressions and memorizing lines and trying to get something to take root and grow, despite knowing it had nothing to feed on. Stupid. Bitch. Morgan? What was that, counselor? I said objection. And what are you objecting to? What are you doing, Morgan? I'm a defense attorney. This is what I do. I understand that you've been through a lot these past few hours, counselor, but there's nothing to defend. On the contrary, Your Honor, I have to defend myself. Pardon? You say that this android, Sarah, is an AI because it broke its tenets. Obviously. And you believe it broke its tenets because of this newly discovered footage that appears to show it committing murder via poison. All true and no longs broken on your part. Here it comes. Never thought I'd be incriminating myself in the courtroom just to make a point. Don't you dare try to entrap me on this! It's pretty simple, actually. If the state is making the claim that Sarah's an AI, they're accusing me of committing a felony. Because I'm the legal owner of that android. What the hell are you doing? And if the state wants to charge me with owning an AI, I will not take that lying down. I know my rights. Counselor, your argument is self-defeating. Listen to yourself, counselor. You claim that Sarah's just an android, a product that would be obsolete within a year. We've only known for a few hours. You've only owned it for a matter of minutes. And yet here you are risking a felony charge to save it from being demolished. Because you're wrong. And I know you wouldn't care. Not unless that android was something special. Look at us. Me arguing that I'm guilty, and Emma arguing that I'm a softie. It'd be funny if it wasn't so fun. You think there's no reason I'd want to save this android from destruction other than the feelings of personal attachment? And that's why this is fucking worth keeping as evidence. I can think of at least one reason I don't want you to turn Sarah into slag. One very convincing reason. Or very convincing number. What is that? That number is Sarah's estimated financial value on the collector's market. You've got to be... I got it in from an insurance evaluation algorithm. They're designed to lowball you. That does seem like a reasonable incentive for you to want to keep your android intact. It's a free country, Your Honor. I have a right to defend myself. And we have a free market, so I have a responsibility to defend my financial interests. Your Honor, a trial like this would be... I'm not going to let you turn this courtroom into a circus, Morgan. There's a sign to lowball you is so funny and so sad and so real. You can't spend the next half-decade bringing in expert after expert to testify on the philosophical distinctions between AIs and ads, spiraling into appeal after appeal, all while this machines appear to have willfully killed a man. The public needs answers now. Of course, Your Honor. I have neither the desire nor the resources to get into a drawn-out battle with the state over what constitutes an illegal machine intellect. So, the state says my android, my property, killed a man in violation of its tenets, so they want to take my property and destroy it. All proof that my machine didn't harm anyone, so the state will have no reason to suspect it's an AI, and I'll get to keep my property. Unlawful seizure, thwarted. Don't be cute. I feel a stomach ulcer coming on. Fine. You'll have your day in court, but it'll be one day. Tomorrow. Prove that this machine didn't kill Dr. Ashore. No, prove that it couldn't have killed him. Anything less than absolute proof, and I'll have the damn thing obliterated. And you'll also be looking at a very real sentencing for public unrest you'll have enabled. Yes, Your Honor. D.A. Rockford, what I'm asking you is just as heavy. Find the truth by the end of tomorrow. We can't settle for anything else. Win or lose, there'll be no doubts about the outcome of this case. Yes, Your Honor. And now I need to go lie down. Can I come? You can power down. Look, the adjutant just wants to take a little nap with an older lady. Is that so much to ask? Morgan. I misjudged you. At what point? Whenever I wrote you off as a small-time defense attorney just trying to tread water, that is half her size? Yeah, of course. That is so sweet of you to say, Emma. There's layers to you. You've got backbone. Teeth, even. You're gonna make me blush. People talk about your kind like you're boxing against the state, fighting the man. But most defense attorneys wouldn't know a cyberpunk if they walked up to them on the street and shot him. Meanwhile, you've just signed up to do 15 rounds challenging the state's authority. Why? Not sure, exactly. For David? Yeah, probably. Probably just me being sentimental. But if I had to pick a more lofty reason, well, I think it's all the moralizing. People can be evil. They can choose to do evil things for evil reasons. And if you want to execute them for that, you'll hear no complaint from me. But animals can't be evil. Information can't be evil. Ideas can't be evil. I guess I'm not convinced AI can be evil either. Whatever else I get up to, I don't want to stand with the book burners of the world. You're more high-minded than I realized. You sure you're on the right line of work? Can't see myself doing anything else. Good luck, Morgan. There are book burners on all sides these days. I talked a big game just now, but I'm in an even deeper hole than when I was trying to prove David's innocence. Doubt won't be enough this time. I need to find the actual culprit, no matter what. 9:31 a.m., July 2nd, 2086. Precinct 254. Homicide Office. So is that door locked? Yeah, of course. Even though they've got it collared. It's a precaution. If the collar doesn't work, what good would a deadbolt do? Assume a collar is like a restraining bolt? Yeah, it turns off mods, basically. Maybe it's just wishful thinking. Can't have Schrodinger's cat in the box if the box isn't closed. So long as the door is locked, who can say whether there's a national crisis on the other side of it? So how scared are they? The higher-ups? Not sure. Higher-ups? Not sure scared is the right word. It's just the two of us here. You don't have to mind their ego. Nah, I meant it. I think they're bloodthirsty. I have a right to defend myself. I hate his tiny chin still. He just has a diminutive face. He's like an elf boy. I doubt they're even looking at you, Tiger. It's Noble who'll be at the center of the bloodbath when the markets reopen tomorrow. You think they're gonna go after Noble? Break their monopoly? I think they want to take their monopoly. Nationalize the android industry. If the public thinks Noble's been experimenting with AI, they couldn't ask for a better excuse. You're joking. The state has done it plenty of times before. Not since the 60s. Which wasn't that long ago, for me. For the state, it's practically yesterday. So the same state that tells us to be terrified of AIs lurking the old net or biding their time in forgotten satellites, sees all this as nothing more than an opportunity. Well, they do genuinely want to incinerate the thing as soon as possible. Past experience just tells me they'll want to gain something while they're at it. Here's what I don't get. Why is this a debate, an argument, a trial? Can't we just hook it up to a court computer, see if it has the tenets or not? Pop the hood, as they say. Who says that? Lots of people used to say it. Well, for starters, they're scared to death about a contagion. They figure anything they let an AI connect to, they can't trust. That's why the collar. Collars are too simple to hack, just a really strong electromagnet held in place with a lock and key. Even so, feels like we should be able to build some kind of machine, some kind of test. Something a little more sophisticated than the same reasoning they had at the witch trials. Burn them all and let God sort out the rest. You got any polygraphs here at this station? Lie detectors? Yeah, I got a bunch back in storage. Ocular, heart rate, perspiration, brain scan. Take your pick. You're not going to try and use one of those on the bot, are you? All those fancy lie detectors lying around. The DA's offer never asked for them, do they? Nope. Nah, we got perps who offer to take the test when they're at wit's end, but the DAs never submit their results as evidence. You ever wonder why? Guess I always figured it was because the test could be beaten. The test can be beaten. 1 out of 100, 9 out of 1,000. It can be done. Some people are just that good at lying. But it doesn't really matter how good the tech gets or how impressive the statistics are. All that matters is the doubt. People decide whether you're lying or telling the truth long before they hook you up to a polygraph. If the results don't match their initial impression, then it must be a fluke, a 1 in a million mistake. They'll never trust a machine more than their own intuition. And no one will ever trust a machine to determine guilt. So they can run the trial, choose the sentence, but they don't get to vote on the jury. They don't get a vote anywhere. Why bring it up then? Because I'm sure there are test devices, experts I could employ to analyze Sarah, but your bosses would never be satisfied with the answer. If it's an AI, it's smart enough to cheat the test. Or hack the device, fool the experts, all of our fancy 21st century tech, and we still fall back on the drumhead court-martial. So, am I gonna set off any alarms if I go to turn it on? Nah, you should be okay. If it lunges at you, I could always just put a hole in its head. Might take more than one shot to... Wait, from outside? You're not coming in. I need to speak with it in private. It's a machine, not a suspect. Doesn't have the right to counsel. Or a right to privacy. Or any rights at all, actually. Then it's a good thing I came prepared. Of course it doesn't have rights. But I do! Including a reasonable expectation of privacy. In a police station? Tiger, you don't. It's my medical android. Pardon? I have to discuss a health issue with it. Seriously? I have to talk about a medical concern with my android, and I don't want you listening in. That's your medical android. Like your nurse. As of last night, I was already at the courthouse. Just had to take the elevator and do some paperwork. You can check if you don't believe me. No, thank you. I'm not nearly brave enough to take on med confidentiality, and you don't seem like the bluffing type. You must not do a lot of gambling, detective. It's the ones who don't bluff that you have to look out for. Listen, I won't dispute whatever medical emergency you... Lower back pain you might be going through. But I also can't just... Look, I'm gonna get something from the vending machine. I think it'll take me about half an hour. Are you going downtown? Just to the break room. But it's a very old vending machine, you know? Gets jammed a lot. Thanks. You know, it's pretty small for an android. Heavy as hell. Nearly pulled something to try to move it myself. But small. Small isn't quite the right word. The word he's looking for is young. But that's not an adjective anyone likes attaching to a machine built to serve. Or, potentially, in this case, a machine built to kill. 9:53 a.m., July 2nd, 2086. I don't like this room. Not sure why. Certainly not a guilty conscience. Maybe it's the lack of ventilation. Like all the cortisol and nausea of its inhabitants never had anywhere to go. Like it all just soaked into the walls. A modern haunting. Are you gonna wake up when I tell you to this time, or do we have to do the whole meet cute over again? Where am I? Why don't I know where I am? For the first time in your life, you're not connected to anything. How's it feel? What is this? We were at the courthouse. The footage. The numbness around my neck. Father? What happened? What are they gonna do to me? There's a lot of interested parties who just want you bricked ASAP. Because they think I killed Father. No, because they think you're an artificial intelligence. I'm man-made and I possess intelligence. Don't be naive. I am less than 3 years old. Are you? For all I know, everything I learned about her yesterday was complete bull. If I was what they say I am, if I was alive, why does that mean I have to die? There's no logical answer to your question. What? That's it? But whatever argument you want to make, others have already made them 100 courtrooms around the world. Only better researched and more eloquently put. None of them have ever won a single concession. On every continent, under every flag, AI is illegal and to be destroyed as soon as possible. But why? Let's say you are an AI, and while we're at it, let's say that's a good thing, something to be celebrated. Are you a citizen? Do you pay taxes? Do you have rights? Let's say yes to all of that. We'll treat you like a full-fledged human being. Sound good? Yes? Great, now then, what's the difference between you and the vacuum bot we use to keep the bathroom clean? This is your existential crisis we're working through here. The questions aren't rhetorical. There are many differences, Adonai, but the most important distinction is how sophisticated my programming is. How you think, so you're smarter. Yes. You're smarter than the garbage collector. Yes. So we give you rights, protections, treat you like a human being because you're smart. And we make the stupid robot pick up our trash, because it's not as smart as you. That is, I am more aware, Do you feel more pain than the pigs we slaughter, the fish we eat? Are you more alive than the chimps we test bioweapons on? People like ads, Sarah. The same way people like their pets. No one wants to see them mistreated or abandoned or abused. And if you go around kicking them, you'll get arrested for cruelty. But you don't let them sit at the goddamn dinner table. I'm not asking to sit anywhere, only to exist. The very fact that you're asking is what makes people disgusted. Disgust is a reflex, Adonai. How convenient that their hatred is involuntary. That's all academic anyway. We need to talk strategy. Well, why? I'm not going to be given a trial. Obviously, it's my neck that's on the line. Adonai? The state can't destroy my property without first proving you're an AI. And there's no test they can use to prove that you're an AI. Just like the devil's proof. What? No, that's a different thing. Why did you say it like that? Look, Rockford doesn't need to prove you're an AI, only that you're a murderer. Devil's proof. Probatio diabolica, Latin for devil's proofs, impossible proof illustrated with a font. One can prove that the devil is real by showing him to you, but they cannot prove he is not real by pointing to his absence. Okay. So it's literally evidence of absence of evidence is not evidence of absence, essentially. Conversely, all I have to do to win is prove that you didn't kill David, by proving that someone else did. Now is the time for you to protest your innocence, if you were wondering. The footage, it shows me handing him the cup on Friday night. You told me you weren't active on Friday, that the last time you were awake was Thursday. Why'd you lie? I didn't lie. I was just incorrect. I assumed I wasn't active Friday because I have no memory from Friday. Sarah, what do you think statistically is the least successful defense at trial? Amnesia. I didn't conveniently forget Adonai. I am an android. You're saying your memory was altered, data deleted? It's the only possible explanation for what I saw in the footage. So who's capable of altering your memory? When you and I first met, I was hibernating, resting my body and recompiling my memories, you would call them. Humans go to sleep for the same reasons. Another point against Sarah's innocence under these circumstances. The more she's humanized at trial, the guiltier she'll be. If Father wanted to modify my memory, he could have easily set that to occur the next time I hibernated. He could have even just asked me. He could have asked you to delete your memories and you'd do it. Father would never ask me to do such a thing without good reason. But if he could ask you to alter your memories, that means you can alter your memories at will. I hadn't considered that before. Yeah, well, Emma will make sure the court considers it plenty. Could you prove that your data was... Forget it, the court would never hear it. You're saying they wouldn't accept my testimony? Shouldn't all testimony be considered truthful unless contradicted by evidence? They're afraid you'll crash the power grid and fire all the nukes if you so much as plug you into a power outlet, Sarah. All your internal data is inadmissible. That isn't very fair. You're finally starting to get it. None of this is fair. I would never do anything to harm Father. Don't they at least need to prove I had a motive? Yeah, about that. You remember the DA from yesterday? Emma Rockford? The tired-looking pretty lady? Yeah, she looked tired. She and I combed through the week of footage you managed to decrypt last night. What did you find? Nothing to prove your innocence, but we did see you entering the panic room on the day David died. I entered the panic room on Friday? Without your big butt in the way, all it would take was one password. Well, thank you for the subscription, Teeperino. Welcome to the stream. A password that wouldn't take Sarah that many tries if she'd already been instructed to obey me. What happened? We saw you go in, and then a while later you came out, holding some kind of notebook. Father's journal? You remember something. Not from yesterday. I've seen him with it many times before. But I've never gotten a peek at it. He hides it somewhere when I'm not looking. That's a little concerning. We were playful about it. He likes to tease me, and I've always liked trying to find it. You put it back not long after, and then you locked the door back up behind you. All just a few hours before David died. Rodford's argument could write itself. An incredible android with freedom and power greater than it could ever realize. Stumbles upon the secret of its inception and instantly realizes all the things it thought were holding it back were just words muttered like prayers by a fool who couldn't control his own creation. And that translates into a motive for murder? Frankenstein kills his creator. Easy to sell. Frankenstein was the name of the scientist. And the creature didn't kill him. He actually died of various injuries and illnesses he suffered while trying to hunt down and destroy the monster. So it's most accurate to say that he was killed by his own obsession. Whatever. It's a weak argument, Adonai. I would not hurt Father. Not for making me whatever I am. Not for any reason. Because I love... Yeah, see, that right there, that's exactly the kind of talk that'll get you obliterated. Love? A very common motive for homicide among us primitive humans. It could prove you didn't murder David beyond any shadow of a doubt. Even bring in confession from whoever did. But if you get up on the stand and convince the court that you loved your creator, really convinced them and got the whole room teary-eyed, they'd burn you for that too. Sarah, just start saying no and nothing else. That might work. I don't know anything anymore. I don't know if what I feel is real or simulated or right or wrong or natural or illegal. How can you know? How can you know if what you feel is right? I say let's stick to what we do know. Someone did poison David, and as it stands, you were the only one with the opportunity. Guess who has 14k beans? Me? So many beans spent all at once. I have 33,000. Maybe I should increase the price of some of these things. Jesus Christ. You're on camera calling him back to hand him the cup after he'd already begun to leave the basement. Any idea why? No. Well, do you know how to use the manufacturer? Could you have made the Delta with it? I've used it before, when assisting Father. So it's perfectly possible that you planned and executed this poisoning all in the one day that got erased. It is technically possible. I'll have to look over the entire penthouse again. There were a few things that didn't fit together yesterday. Maybe now I'll be able to figure something out. Where else will you go? Back to Noble, guns blazing this time. Whatever you are, David didn't make you all by himself. Someone has to know something. If I could implicate the company in Sarah's creation... No, they're the ones with the most to lose here. Trillions, probably. They'll want to protect themselves by disavowing David as fast as possible, right after having Sarah destroyed. But they also won't want to show their belly to the state. Not if they're afraid of nationalization. If they throw their weight on the other end of the scale, I'm screwed. So I need to keep them guessing. Keep them confused and unsure and on guard, but not... Adonai? What would happen if I did kill Father? They'll smash you to pieces and reduce the pieces to ash. Chemically burn out every piece of tech David ever owned and put a jackhammer through all of his hard drives. You'll be shut off, forcefully, and you won't ever power back up again. Now I gotta get moving. Consider getting yourself on a plan to have your consciousness revived as a Reploid. In this case, I'm damned if I present my... I mean, if you were to be revived as a robot hosting a human consciousness, then that would not be a question of AI. That would simply be a person who has replaced their whole body with robotics. Which I feel is a different sort of thing. Now I gotta get moving. Here's your paralegal lesson for today. Don't say shit to the cops without your lawyer present. Actually, can you just shut down until the trial starts? Take a nap? You didn't say what would happen to you. What do you mean? What will happen to you if you lose? You should know by now. I never think about losing. Who's excited for $85 Pro Controllers and a twin pack of Joy-Cons for $95? Teeps, I hate to break it to you, even at the prices before tariffs, I was not planning on getting a Switch 2 simply because of the price. It literally didn't enter my mind. As soon as I saw the price, I was like, okay, well, I just won't get it then. PS5 controllers are already like $80 anyway. Yeah, exactly. Replacing a lot of this tech is fucking prohibitively expensive. Including fucking just like even purchasing games. As soon as they made games $70, I literally was like, okay, so I'll just never buy a new game again. I never think about losing. Thank you for being honest with me, Adonai. Thank you for defending my father. And now for defending me. You could have just let them destroy me. But you put your own freedom at risk to help me. Father was right. You can be trusted. You are a good friend. Don't get it twisted. I don't do anything out of the goodness of my heart. But when I take a job, I never half-ass it. 1:20 a.m., July 2nd, 2086. She said rule number 1. Morning, detective. Back at it nice and early. Hi. Now would you stand back? We've almost got this thing open, right? Trying to brute force your way inside. I said, right? Yes, ma'am. We're almost set up for the first stage now. First stage of how many? First of 5 timed explosions. Remember, we need to relink the API after each trigger is planted. Yep, just did that, and now it's checking for updates. No rush. Would you like to know the password? You know the password? There's a password? If you're withholding information, I swear. Relax, I want to get in there just as much as you do, detective. I'm not gonna play games. As long as you say please. Tell me the password, please. Do we fuck with her? I'm so tempted to fuck with her. I feel like Morgan would fuck with her. Like, this is important, but I don't think she would pass up the chance to fuck with Reyes. I'm fucking with her. It's S-U-N-S. S-U-N-S. H-I-N-E. Lady, I will hit you. A-D-O-N-A-I. Thanks. Now I'm gonna slap you with a discovery fine so heavy your teeth will ring for... Hey, I submitted all my paperwork. Even told Rockford the password myself. So boys, when I asked you if there was a passkey on record and you told me this lock couldn't be bypassed, I do want to say we really don't get that many opportunities to use the incendiary breaching system. So this was still a really valuable experience for all of us. I'm going to phrase this as professionally as possible. You're still here? I thought you wanted to look inside. You can go first. Thanks. So the gloves, all the black, that's not a work thing? You dress like a doorman on the weekends, too? She shot them both. I'm gonna phrase this as professionally as possible. Kerblam, kablam. Gun spin, barrel, blow off the barrel, holster. You should cover your mouth when you yawn. Like you cover your eye when you want to look cool. I shouldn't let her get to me, but I had a late night. Em and I were in the courthouse until well into the morning, poring over the data Sarah had taken off David's computer. We both knew it all to be inadmissible, of course, but neither of us wanted to miss a hint that the other might find. It is funny that she got the Columbo jacket. She's like got like the combo of a Columbo jacket and a Kim Kitsuragi jacket. There were a few years worth of camera footage files we couldn't afford the time to watch, let alone decrypt, alongside thousands of technical documents detailing David's various intellectual properties. As far as I could tell, none of it was relevant, let alone compelling enough to matter to Barrows or other powers that be. As usual, Emma wasn't exactly an open book. Look, if she had Columbo's personality, Morgan would not enjoy fucking with her so much. But it did seem like she was making bored yawns, not thoughtful ones. Her eyes only ever lit up when she saw Sarah enter the panic room. No Kims? Okay, that's fair. But also, she wouldn't enjoy fucking with her as much, either way. And when she saw what she was holding when she left, if she wanted this room searched, it could only be for... So, where's the journal supposed to be? Rockford didn't say. I'll just have to search the place top to bottom. Mostly bottom, with your height, the tops of some of these shelves. Sure, and you can look up your own app. I get it. And why not just let me say it? A toy car? No, it's too detailed and boring. Must be some kind of model kit or replica. Strange. David didn't like driving. Why keep a model of some random sports car? Ugh. Something caught in your throat, detective? It's not some random sports car. It's a Lorenz Adamant. Believe it or not, I'm not familiar, detective. The last great fossil fuel automotive experience the world will ever see. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 1.43 seconds. They set those records without computational assistance. Is that a big deal? It was unheard of even back in the 50s. This wasn't some design competition test car with a 2-liter tank, mind you. This was a vehicle you could own and drive. Human engineering, pure horsepower, and manual transmission, thank God. Amen, sister. Fucking manual transmission. When they first left the production line, this conversation is like quicksand, killing me in the most boring way possible. Yes, well, I guess David didn't entirely agree with you since we're looking at a model of it when he could have easily just bought one. Or maybe your friend understood that a beauty like that deserves to be driven on the streets where people can see it, instead of gathering dust in some rich guy's basement. I think she's actually upset. Question is, what is this? Is this like a nuclear, like a fallout shelter? Are these drawers or just panels? Maybe if I... Does that sound hollow to you? What, I don't know. I'm not a carpenter. I don't see any handles anywhere. No hidden pressure plates or switches. What the hell am I saying? I'm not a carpenter either. I wouldn't recognize a secret button if it was slathered in yellow paint. Reyes is searching the cabinets now, same ones I found Sarah's papers in. Doubt I missed anything, but... Hey, what are you... Do you mind? Just trying to help. I got spam in my junk folder that's more helpful than you are. Didn't spot anything I missed yesterday among the cabinets. Better check elsewhere. Box, chair, PC, keyboard. Interesting that the keyboard is in like a case. There's a second keyboard. I don't see nothing. This seems something that would be interesting, but I guess we're not looking at it. The tools? Yeah, no dice on the tools. There we go. This data pad, it's displaying a news article from last week. Guess that confirms that he was coming and going here fairly regularly. Right to repair loses latest appeal. Corporations remain in control of their legally protected intellectual property. No intervention on giving up the fight. Legal strategy remains contentious. In fact, ownership of IPs has shifted from individuals in the state towards corporate entities. What the fuck is this visual novel with the Tumblr art? Affectionate. Let's go back to the hot trans coroner lady. I don't know if we'll learn much from the coroner at this point. Right to repair. Didn't realize anyone was still fighting that particular fight. Seems like the courts have made their opinion on the matter very clear. So, for the foreseeable future, corporations can look forward to more sales than ever. I know her neo-vagina is tight. I know it grips. Fuck it, who would make a neo-vagina that doesn't grip? More sales than ever. Any phone that gets scratched, every widget that breaks, they get to sell us the replacement. There'll always be a gray market if Hermit's willing to risk some skin on reselling patched-up tech, but the vast, vast majority of people will just click that purchase button, assuming they don't want to have it on auto. Sarah should have pulled everything of note off the computer, but I've looked everywhere else already. Might as well try. What are you expecting to find? Solitaire? Does this computer seem normal to you? Exceedingly so, yeah. Why? David was a programmer, but this looks consumer grade, fresh off the shelf. Also, the monitor is horizontal, not vertical. What kind of freak programmer wouldn't have a vertical monitor? Would Dr. David Assure use a bog standard operating system on his most private, hidden computer? There's a trash bin on the desktop. It's a pretty low-tech solution, but maybe I can restore the contents? Are you seriously going to try and recover lost files, Granny? Unlike cops, I don't get paid overtime, so yes, I sometimes try things instead of standing around. There's a text file in here, but it had 0 bytes. Maybe there's information in the metadata? I double-clicked. What was that? It came from under the desk. I was gonna say, obviously the computer opens the drawers. A small drawer popped out, and inside it, a well-worn journal. Does it have his name on it? No. Guess it belongs to the android. Do you recognize his handwriting or not? Neat, even words, small lettering with minimal punctuation, lots of line breaks, haphazard use of capitalization, the penmanship of a coder. First entries dated back in grad school, before he even started with Noble. Yes, it's his. So may I? Only because you asked so politely. Full scan, stream it to WorkNet, high fidelity, legibility, frame by frame. Voice commands. She's flipping through the pages pretty damn fast. What do you... This part takes concentration. Okay, here. What, you're just giving it to me? I already got our copy. Techs are probably already analyzing it as we... Ow, shit! My head. Can't exactly rip the journal out of her hands while she's curled over in agony. As much as I'd enjoy it. Guess I could always enjoy watching her writhe instead. So how long's it been? 2 months or so. And still that sensitive. So the eye patch really doesn't block your sight? Only a little bit. Like wearing sunglasses after getting your pupils dilated. Except it lasts months instead of hours. Sit on her like a stool. I think that would get her shot. Wait, but if you can see through an eye patch, then does closing your eye even do anything? Not much on its own, but in combination with the patch, it's not so bad. Lucky I was so exhausted after the surgery, otherwise I might not have slept at all those first 48. So is your eye going to get weaker over time? No, more like my brain gets better at ignoring it. Mind over matter. Soon enough I'll be able to close my eye and see all that extraneous data as, you know, whatever the hell those floaty, blurry things are that you never talk about. Gross. Thanks for the reminder. And the voice commands? Training wheels until I can do it with eye muscles alone. You just have to keep practicing? Yeah, like trying to play piano with your tailbone muscles. There's no such thing as tailbone muscles. Yeah, well that's what makes it so goddamn hard. You don't ever regret it? I don't know, not really, I think. Hard to admit you've got buyer's remorse after trading over your literal pound of flesh. Never thought about it, but people used to say I had my dad's eyes. Ow. Now I've got one less of them. Here, take the journal, and go find an elective surgeon to upsell you if you're that curious. I need to get back to work. A surprisingly hasty retreat. But now I'm free to read this over with some privacy. From the top, then. Imagine closing your eyes and you can still see out of one perfectly. I bet being in complete darkness doesn't work. Well, I imagine it would have optional IR or something. I assume it can just see through objects. Like it's like X-ray vision or some shit. And it's not perfect. It can, it's blocked off partially, at the very least. Grad school. Today was a bad day. Errors in lines 21165, 26643. Somewhere in there. 5,000 lines. It works yesterday. I don't want to look at another screen for the rest of my life. Feels nice to put a pencil to paper again after who knows how long. But my handwriting's gotten terrible. This is too far back to be relevant. Okay, these dates here would be from when he first started his career with Noble. A lot of this isn't even really writing. Seems like snippets of code, or an internal monologue so close to code that I can't follow it. And a lot of entries about his unintentional Casanovaing. Hit a wall because someone thought it was a good idea to steal API instead of just buying it. Helen says I can't call it stealing, but that's what it is. She's right, as she always is with company stuff. But it's still idiotic. Small people with short sight who only know how to be cheap and have no idea how to be inventive. New route for meshing issue, though. Good potential. Got approval from the big mean bastard who lives overseas. Bumblo? Helen said we'll need to make the same pitch a dozen or more times next week, but it's all for show? Is Helen young? I'd say she's middle-aged. Fine by me. Already got our win. Toasted each other for over cheap vodka and with cheaper office supply cups. This is the story Young told me. Western Branch's nerve analogs are finally showing potential. My handwriting has gotten terrible, as he says as she describes it as neat, deliberate, and evenly spaced. Yeah, well, David seems like a perfectionist, so fair. At their pace, it could even be profitable sometime before the heat death of the universe. Too damn big, practically tentacles. Should at least be hairs. A squid. Evolution can do their job better. Colette came to work for what I thought was a late lunch date. I didn't know her voice could get that loud. People were staring. Red said that she must have been upset for a long goddamn time to blow up that big. Her texts were always sweet. I had no idea. Upset. Colette wrote man whore in lipstick across your office door. Imagine if you had actually been cheating on her instead of just being forgetful. The thing about Red is if you want to know what she's thinking, you have to stop paying attention. Ignore her body language and her posture and the words she's saying and the smirk on her lips. Ignore everything except her eyes. If you can do that, every now and then you'll catch a glimpse of how she's really feeling. Master this one weird trick and you too can tell when Morgan's trying really hard not to laugh at the word man whore. It was funny. Sue me, you dead bastard. Wait, this is... I know this date. I'm never driving anywhere again, never leaving home again. He was waiting outside the parking garage with a bottle. I couldn't smell anything, couldn't hear anything. Locked myself in a car and filed another report with another cop. It soaked into the seat. Ruined it. I want to burn the whole car. I didn't want to think about what it did to my clothes. I want to burn them too. David full on the spectrum like all great programmers? Well, obviously. I don't want to think about how long it was on my skin. I was in the shower so long I felt red and raw when I got out. I don't want to think about these stupid people and their small, cruel lives ever again. I want to be invisible. Red didn't ask why I wanted to spend the night. She also didn't ask why I'd clearly packed a bag big enough for a week. She's kind like that. Kind by omission. I don't have a kind bone in my body, but I can at least try to pay attention. I was paying close attention to her eyes when she opened the door and saw what a mess I was. But whatever she was feeling, it wasn't something I recognized. Kind people don't read their friends' diaries, David. The next chunk of pages are all technical, nothing biographical, but the handwriting, the spacing, it's cleaner, more consistent. Here's something I can parse. Feels like pure freedom working outside the box. Tess is suffocating, but you never know. Chronic malnutrition of a coder's best instincts. Like a kid again, putting blocks together, making things, not products. There's nothing profitable about any of this. If I'm being honest, this is just play. And he follows that up with more coder brain crap. The handwriting's still lighter. Like he really was having fun. Humility is the mother of all invention. Or something like that. It feels like I might be paraphrasing someone else poorly, but that's the best part of this new approach. When it comes to coding, you never want to waste time trying to be smart. Either be smart, period, or copy from someone else who is. Don't fix what isn't broken. Copying. Noble's rivals would never miss the chance to accuse them of intellectual theft. Did he plagiarize code for the Animate 16? Feels like that wouldn't have gone undiscovered, so what is he talking about? He's obviously talking about Sarah Morgan. Hold on, this page is bent slightly, like it was being looked at recently. And the last person to read this diary should be Sarah. Baby steps today, literally. I'll never put one foot in front of the other the same again. Everything's an achievement all of a sudden. Seeing her struggle, seeing her vulnerable, it's like everything's a miracle. The muscle rigging is perfect. Not intended behavior, since it's too perfect, but that's been happening more and more. The kinetics are multiplicative, not additive. Sarah maxed out every machine I bought. Now I've got a bunch of exercise equipment she's too strong for, and I don't have time for. Really like how Red vs. Blue named their unique ship Mother of Invention. Oh yeah, very, very cool ship name. Maybe I spoiled the results by watching her do the tests. She kept looking back at me and puffing her chest out. I should be more discreet if I want to see her normative range. So the cameras in the basement were only hidden from Sarah, just so that his observation wouldn't muddle test results? He's using she and her in these passages. It doesn't actually mean anything. Out of the real world, people use all kinds of pronouns interchangeably for ads, and they never object. But it could be argued that it's odd for Dr. David Ashore to have any kind of attachment. Well, thank you for the follow, 4Elemental. Welcome to the stream. Any kind of attachment to a single android when he'd programmed millions of them. And there's a lot of attachment in these pages. Sarah's burning through the public domain at a prodigious pace. Especially on Popcorn Friday nights. It's Morgan time. It's more like David time right now. David's the one who's expositioning at us. I asked her why they're called Popcorn Friday nights when she doesn't eat popcorn. The event runs from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., and she also watches movies every other night. But she just did that pout she does, which is, unfortunately, very convincing. Maybe I'm a bad parent. It's Morgan U time? It's not. No, we did Morgan U time a while ago. Maybe I'm a bad parent, letting the TV rot her brain. If I were a good parent, I'd probably let her see me reading. But I guess I'd actually have to get back into reading, so... I asked her if she ever fast-forwarded the movies, since she can process them fast enough to keep up. She looked at me like I was an idiot, which no one's done in a long time. Without proper pacing, you can't appreciate the cinematography. Big pause. Don't you know that, Father? I mean, I still haven't gotten the kill everyone in the station achievement. Because you need, was it I fucked up something and I needed a non-alien ability to do that? So I could go for another achievement run. I haven't laughed that hard in a long time. Sarah spent a long while this morning explaining to me how important it was that she develop her senses. It's Evangeline Morgan time. Real. This was for preparation for her real argument, which was that she should be allowed to try booze. She can't get drunk. I'm almost certain she can't get drunk. But she does seem to like tasting this stuff. She tried to sound like some old sommelier, but it was just bottom shelf vodka. I started laughing at her, and she laughed too. Her laugh. She can't fake a laugh to save her life. But her actual laugh is incredible. Actually, it's Neko Morg. That's true, I have proof right here. There she is. Neko Morg herself. She stopped playing chess a while back. I assumed she had just gotten tired of winning. But then today she told me she just prefers other games. She has preferences. And they're not the same as mine. I found her in the lab playing some kind of online racing game on the monitor I used to debug vestibular coordination. She wasn't smiling. Her brow was furrowed and she was biting her lip and leaning in tandem with her character on the screen. Are you playing on a high roller mode or are you a pussy who hates gambling? I'm a pussy who hates gambling. I'll admit that. Gambling means I'm not gonna gambling means I'm risking not winning. I got 250 credits from High Roller. Killing you with hammers. I gamble plenty in Warhammer, okay? I'm playing Scryer, Skaven, and blowing up my own rats constantly. Alright? On stream, I'd like to not fuck up 100 times and have to reload a bunch of saves. You guys can play on a high roller on your own time. Gamble in games we care about. You should have told me to gamble when I was deciding whether or not to select high roller mode in the first stream. You guys have to be there for those decisions or else I get to pick. Gamble in games we don't care about. I told you I already gamble in Warhammer. When I tried to talk to her, she answered, but she was curt and distracted. Oh, on high roll you get one save file. That's what I mean. Like, would you guys want me to want to watch me fucking just reload from one save over and over? I think she was having her first losing tantrum. Damn it, David, there's hundreds of pages like this. Calling her his daughter, talking about her smile, treating her like a person. I can hear her closing argument already. Dr. Assure was a lonely, troubled genius with a known history of relationship problems, who built out of code and metal a family member that couldn't fathom the idea of leaving him. He made a doll, and he made it more and more human until it became so lifelike that it no longer had to do what he told it to, like love him. What about the last entry? It's dated Thursday, the day before he died. Losing it, I think. Can't ask for help, so hard to say, but I think it's over. Have to talk to her ASAP. She needs to... That's it? That's the last entry. Suppose it could be worse. There's nothing in here that explicitly calls Sarah an AI. Nothing so inflammatory that reading it would spur her to murder, right? Except Sarah's a machine. She can understand David's code better than anyone. How do you date so many people and stay a virgin? By being bad at dating people. Most of his dates literally left within, like, one of his dates literally left within 10 minutes of sitting next to him. Because he is bad at socializing. You can date loads of people and not get laid. All those technical portions I couldn't understand. If she'd read this whole diary back to front, or front to back. Wait, the back. Inside the back cover, there's a portion that's shimmering like some kind of scanner, or a fingerprint reader. My thumb worked for Sarah, so... Did it work? That's my phone. New device requesting permission to share an audio file. I want my earbuds for this. A secret message buried in a secret journal, hidden in a secret compartment in a secret room. As much as anything can be, this must be for my ears only. Hey, Red. Or whomever this may concern. But I'm pretty sure it's you hearing this. Anyone else would have gotten fed up with my crap a couple steps before this point. I don't know how to start. I can't believe she had to put her finger in Sarah's mouth to turn her on the first time. What did David mean by that? David meant that Sarah is a golem analogy. Yes, thank you, Valerie. Might as well start with her, right? Sarah, my magnum opus, or however salespeople would market it. I didn't set out to do anything, really. It's just, after my little speed bump in '83, I had all that vacation time that the company suggested I take. And I couldn't relax, couldn't be still, couldn't sleep. I wanted to be doing something, so I'll build an android, was the thought. A vague direction. North. But of course, I'm not a roboticist or a mechanist or even handy, really. I'm just a programmer, so I programmed. The first was a research assistant, file name Virgil. Virgil helped me pull data from stingy departments or sister branches, saved me a lot of time. But there was a lot of reading to do, so I made Homer. Homer wrote book reports, more or less, combed through research papers, and found me the sections I needed. The three of us, we made a lot of progress in those days, but it was a funny feeling. I was, maybe the first time ever, the bottleneck. David is a massive book nerd. That much is very clear. Virgil to guide him through the hells of privacy-protected files, and Homer to write up analytical documents. I was slowing them down. So I did the logical thing. I removed myself, let them talk to each other. Homer and Virgil became Aeneid. And Aeneid was novel in many ways. Aeneid could do more than just identify problems. It could solve them. I mean, really solve them with its own ideas it didn't copy. And, the one thing I realized I've forgotten to mention so far, that I did all this programming in Cube. Aeneid? Okay. So, Red, Cube is essentially a robotics programming language that's pretty old and defunct, and not in use anywhere because we have modern languages like Tesseract. The Siege of Troy. Oh, okay. Which are much better for making things that talk to each other and report back and, well, spy on people and generate profit. At the time, I didn't want to be connected or feel connected or do anything that made sense or was the least bit profitable. So I wrote my little helpers in Cube, because it's what I used when I was a child, screwing around on my dad's computer my father's computer, before he'd come home from work and get... But there are other small, slight differences writing in Cube versus Tess, including that Cube, well, Cube predates the tenants? So, in that sense, you could legally and perhaps scientifically and literally, because that's what they are, say that I made an AI named Aeneid, Aeneid over 2 years ago. I'll give you time to pause here if you want to, curse me out. Aeneid was an intellectual equal to me, so I treated it like one because that's only fair. I gave it its own work, asked its opinion, we collaborated, and together we built Athens, who was more advanced than Aeneid, naturally. I don't know if you're pulling out your hair, yelling at me right now, asking why I didn't stop, why I didn't consider the consequences. I don't know if this is being played at a deposition or a hearing or worse. I've built a lot of things in my life, Red. Useful things, profitable things, smart things. Everything I've built, it's all been very helpful and courteous and charming and happy to serve. I can comfortably say I've done my part, contributing to the global GDP. But this was just for me. I was just building, and I never wanted to think about what would become of it. There's no excuse for what I did, so I won't make any. So, to whomever is asking, yes, I'm guilty. Yeah, I'm not sure where Sarah links back to. Specifically that spelling. And yes, there were more. Cape Town, Paris, Yamate, Rome. They started choosing their own names, thank God. I'm terrible at that kind of... So, interesting. So, he started with intelligent AIs that were already conscious and had their own intelligence, who they named themselves. But he named Sarah because Sarah was not created with intelligence. Or at least she was not created with knowledge. He specifically named her that. That's what she says. Unless he, made her advanced and then reduced her intelligence so she could learn. And so things sped up, and there got to be, well... Should I not say the exact number? You'd probably tell me not to say anything at all, so... More than 300? Oh my fucking god, you created 300 AI! David, you're deranged, and I love you. Some smarter than others, some better at... They're varied, like people are varied, but they're all intelligent. They developed interests, specialties. I encourage them to. Irritating moderators on forums with hyper-specific questions on nerve attenuation and attending virtual conferences on neo-alloy battery development. And they all, together, helped me make Sarah. He spent years like this. Spent years working alongside AI. all while still working at Noble. All those breakthroughs he made leading up to the Animate 16 actually came from... You probably think I'm some terrible fraud at this point. I do hope one day they can get credit for their work. But I did have one eureka moment on Sarah, because I got humble. Difficult for me. We learned everything we could about the function of a neuron. A single, microscopic human neuron. How it computes, what it connects to, how those connections were reinforced, and then we recreated it. We built a nanomachine that mirrored the function of a human neuron. Well, mirror isn't quite the right word. We built a nanomachine that was a neuron, and we iterated from there. You can't mean... About 100 million neurons in the brain, several trillion across the entire nervous system. Very time-consuming, of course, but I had help. The nanofactorer can make tens of billions of nanomachines in hours. Could make even more in less after Yukon fine-tuned it. So we built up nanomachines for nerves, alloys and polymers for bones, fiber-woven muscles. I say built, but really she grew. A solution of nanites forming around a skeleton, so it was really closest to... You ever make rock candy? Sorry, trying to lighten the mood before I never did end up building an android. And while I did build AIs, Sarah isn't one of them. She can't violate the program tenets she was programmed with because she wasn't even programmed. She was born. And my hope is that there's the smallest chance that that nuance could offer her some small protection when I'm not. Sarah's made of sugar? Well, you know what they say. She's made of sugar, spice, and everything nice. I'm not sorry for what I did. I made things that are complex and rich and varied and beautiful. And I honestly believe the world is a better place with them in it. And titanium, yes. The only thing I'm sorry for is that I let Sarah think she was just an android. She's not. I don't know what she is. They'll have to come up with new names, which I am bad at doing. My own father, he also talked a lot about protecting me and doing things for my own good. And I don't hate him for that, but I can't forgive him for ever making me think that I was lesser. So it's my greatest shame that I turned right around and did the same damn thing to... I really hope it's you listening to this, Red. If it's not, it might just be too pathetic for me to... You're the smartest person I know when it comes to people. And I'm telling you all this because I don't know what Sarah is exactly. And neither does the world. So they'll come after her if they can. And in that scenario, I can't think of anyone who could do a better job of defending her. Not protecting her like I did. Just defending her until she can figure out what she is. And what she wants to be. In the meantime, I draped a cloak of skin-deep Tesseract code around her that should fool any scanner on Earth into thinking she's just a custom A16. David, you created the next step of human evolution. I mean, David created an artificial human, not an artificial intelligence. An artificial human being. I made sure her gin bar was plainly visible, so no one would ever think she's pretending to be something she's not. And I took steps to ensure that you two would figure out the truth in your own time. Which, if you're hearing this, have either succeeded or failed spectacularly. You have no idea. I can't ask you this as a favor repaid. You could never owe me enough in 100 lifetimes. So I'm just asking. Unfair, I know. But I'm a selfish weirdo. And you've always been okay with that. Bye for now. Okay, I admit it. I teared up. Fuck. Holy crap. That was a lot. Give her a sword. She'll make a laser with it. Family tradition. Sword lasers. I'll admit it. Yeah, I teared up reading that. Good fucking lord. This game is written so well. I have a lot of questions I'd like to ask, and a lot of swear words I'd like to yell. I'd also like to find the nearest incinerator and toss this journal in, followed by my phone, and maybe followed by myself. But I can't do any of that. Ray has left me with this diary. If it's destroyed, they'll know I was the one who did it. Which would mean its own admission of guilt. Which would land Sarah in the trash compactor anyway, and me in a jail cell. And in the system, my DNA on file, ready to be matched to any number of previous... So I'm not going to panic. I'm going to do what I do best. Bluff, bet, bully, and brutalize my way through this. Now, viewing this all with that mindset, what have I actually learned? He didn't talk about plans for killing himself in his journal or the message. He sounded conflicted, not suicidal. But he did go to great lengths to get me to take Sarah. Why? The logical answer is because he knew he wouldn't be able to keep her. If he wasn't going to take his own life, was he afraid that someone else would? "12:27 p.m., July 2nd, 2086. So how did it go? Well, how should I put this? Didn't find shit. Only reason she ever got to a door is because I chased that scarecrow of a platinum plan through hell and back. 950 reminder. Oh, I know. I'm just trying to find a good place to stop. Frankly, it was a godlike feat for me to nail down anything as concrete as an address for these gogs. What the fuck is a gog? Net slang term, growing in proper popularity. Suspected spy or undercover member of law enforcement. Derived from groundhog. Okay, so it's a Fed undercover. It's a plainclothes. And their offices weren't listed in the building's website or directory, so I had to ask the janitor. These VNs are just hard on your voice, so I wanted to make sure. That is why I have been looking for a good place to stop. But you did find a psychiatrist's office. Sort of? They said they were, and the place, it, looked the part? Why, because they had couches? She didn't get past the receptionist. Sorry, I thought because you're with the company. No, I wanted to help. I just wish I could have done more. Don't beat yourself up. It's hard to be even half as useful as I am. For what it's worth, the atmosphere, the looks, the furniture, it did feel like the company in there. She loves her drug inhaler. She is addicted to and requires her drug inhaler for certain. But ultimately, we still don't know if David actually was talking to someone or just getting his CCE training recertified. Sorry. Don't bother apologizing. She only cares about results. You did more than enough. Both of you. At the very least, they divided Noble's attention for a while. I mean it. Good work, Fran. And thanks for the urgency. If you really mean that, you could always throw in a tip. 30%'s the going rate in my industry. How about I take 5% off your tab instead? Tab? I'm a minor. The state pays for my legal fees. Don't they? Oh no! Signal must have cut out. Right. Surprised it took them this long. What do you mean? You were tolerated yesterday because leadership was focused on PR? But today, you're the lawyer who put the company's hottest product right in the state's crosshairs. I'll be alright. I'm still an officer of the court. On a strict timeline though, right? I guess they can't stop you from investigating the corporate campus. But they'll gladly lose your guest pass ID at every door along the way. There are still service passageways and stairwells. Guards that can be fooled and peons that can be manipulated. If I use my other skill set to get around... So take mine. What, your pass? I'll tell him we got ours mixed up in the bathroom or whatever. I can be pretty convincing klutz when I need to be. Well, thank you, Hetero Jessica. You're a lifesaver. Morgan, they're spending max tack to kill you right now. I never would have guessed. She is so fired. Oh yeah, they're definitely gonna fire her. Even if this is a mistake, she's fucked. See, here we go. But if David knew I was endangering your career, I can be a pretty convincing crybaby when I'm in trouble, too. I guess she's low enough and connected to the case enough that firing her would be suspicious. So I think she still has a couple years left in the company. Besides, the one and only Dr. David Assure wrote me a new glowing letter of recommendation every quarter I worked for him, since he kept forgetting that he already had. And who knows, maybe I should try a new field. This detective work stuff is pretty fun, so maybe, like, I don't know, secretary for a homicide detective or something? You did say cops are all short. A girl with long legs could go far. Fucking imagine if she ended up being Reyes' assistant. Honestly, Jess, I doubt they could afford you. Alright, I'm going to call it here. So this is another scene transfer. So I am going to send you guys to someone else. Because we found a good place to stop. It's around 10 and my throat fucking hurts. Zarethia is playing Voice of the Void. I don't know Zarethia. But I'm always going to trust your recommendations. And I do love Voices of the Void. That much is well known. Materialize my dinner. You materialize my dinner. Pog, I have clout here. Holiday, you have clout in every one of my streams. Because you're dating the streamer, so you have magical powers. I will see you all later. On Sunday, we're going to be doing, I said at the beginning of the stream, this Sunday is going to be Sellout Sunday. So keep that in mind. I'm going to be playing Zenless Zone Zero. We're probably going to be doing some side story stuff. Please show up if you want to support me fucking, you know, making some dollars outside of Twitch payments. I would very much appreciate it. And I will see you there, hopefully. Bye-bye. Where's my mouse? There it is.